challenges in the sector. They include market liquidity, inadequate gas supply, and other macroeconomic issues affecting the electricity market. On generation and operation challenges, the managing director pointed out irregular dispatch by system operator and load rejection by distribution companies continue to affect performance and financial fortunes of the company.
We were set up to implement the National Integrated Power Project, which was a fast-track government initiative to add significant new electricity generation capacity with associated transmission, distribution, and gas infrastructure to the electricity supply industry. Our scope so far has been developing generation projects with the associated gas infrastructure projects, transmission projects, distribution projects, as well as solar home systems. You will see the list of 10 generation plants which were designed to develop. Out of these 10, 6 have been fully completed, 2 partially completed, so the whole 8 tied to the grid and generating electricity or ready to generate electricity. Only 2 are uncompleted, fully uncompleted. The total installed capacity we have developed so far, 4,047 megawatts. Along Shogo in Ogun State, Ogorode, that's Sapele in Delta State, Omotosho in Ondo State, Geregu in Kogi State, Ihova in Benin, Edo State, and Calabar in Cross River State. Aloji in Abia is partially completed. It's supposed to be combined cycle, that's gas turbine and steam turbine. The 4 gas turbines, 500 megawatts, completed and generating whenever they are called up by the transmission company to generate. No problem with gas, no problem with transmission, except the systemic transmission issues. Bahrain, 2 units, 1 has been completed, commissioned in the grid. 1 is ongoing at commissioning stage now. We have our commissioning team now in Bahrain to bring the remaining commission. There will be 250 megawatts altogether, that's in Bahrain. Omoku, not completed at all. Egbema, not completed at all. So, Aloji and Bahrain are partially completed.
Similarly, like other sector players, the NIPP feels the impact of regulatory issues, including low tariff rates of 18 naira 4 kobo per kilowatt hour from power sales, compared with higher amounts of 24 naira for independent power producers. Other sector players at the hearing are desirous, like the NIPP, of overcoming the challenges facing the sector in order to grow the economy and for overall development of the nation.
Inherited as at 31st December 2019 stood at 912.5 billion. And we also tried to categorize where these liabilities fall into. In other words, we put them in likes of the nature or peculiarities of those liabilities. And it cut across about 12 critical aspects, from engineering creditors to gas supply to IPPPPA liabilities, tax liabilities, legacy debts, all through. We have the details there, sir. And what we are now having on our books as at 31st December 2019 stood at 514.7 billion. It shows that there have been so many activities, Mr. Chairman, is that 499.7 out of it are actually categorized as contingent liabilities.
The Commission in 2015 approved a new tariff regime in NESI, Nigerian electricity industry. So the MITO, this is called the multi-year tariff in 2015. The tariff was meant to be reviewed biannually, which is what we do at NEC. We do it biannually, and it's based on changes of macroeconomic indices, whether there's a gas price change, deviation from projected generating power plant output or capacity. So over the years, since the effective date of MITO 2015, when this multi-year tariff was to take place, there have been changes in the indices. There have been many variations. that of power delivered to the discos. But the industry tariffs were frozen due to litigation. There was a litigation against the tariff order that was issued by NEC. There was a court case, and that lasted 2018, quarter 3 of 2018, before the case was discharged. And at the end, that means we could now do a tariff review, and rates could be adjusted accordingly to account for all the significant shortfalls that took place since 2015 to now. The payments that was due to NBET were inadequate to cover the obligation of NBET power purchase agreement from the GENCOs. So in other words, all the grid-connected generating companies had to be paid for providing electricity.
It will be recalled that the Senate Committee on Power also brought stakeholders to meet minds towards a robust electricity sector in Nigeria.
Are you sure this will work?
Has to. I can't miss this guy's lecture. Just keep your phone on so I can listen.
Today we're going to be discussing sleep What is the medical term for sleepwalking?
Sonambulism.
Correct.
Get free Intel to Intel calls and experience HD quality conversations every time. Intel. Live more.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
I am Elizabeth Abai. I am here to talk about facts. There is so much misinformation and distortion out there, especially on the social media. All it takes is just a click and the fake news goes viral. However, here in NTA, we deal with facts.
My job is to go out there and comb for factual news and information just the way it is, all in the interest of the nation. I'm Naja'atu Tijani.
Here on the NTA, we present only the facts, verified. Beware of fake news, don't be a victim. Stay tuned to the NTA.
Especially at this time of the coronavirus pandemic.
My name is Nnamdi Ojipo.
Ooh. about yourself if you don't decide to do something new with yourself. Welcome to another dazzling episode of Rainbow, Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Welcome. This is Bon Appetit, a culinary adventure. All of them are quite different and unique, especially when it comes to native foods and cultural delicacies. Their food mainly depends on the ingredients that are produced in that particular area.
Vision of ECOWAS and for the two countries, Benin and Nigeria, to show that it can work and be a win-win for the two countries.
Reopening of land borders. Nigeria and Benin Republic take steps to curb smuggling and other illicit activities across the borders.
Through this project, we're currently injecting about 10 billion naira directly into the hands of about 2 million poor and vulnerable households every month.
Federal government flags off rapid response register for COVID-19 cash transfer for the poor and vulnerable. Plus, Federal Inland Revenue Service generates 4.9 trillion naira tax revenue in 2020, 98% of its estimated target. Hello and welcome to Network News, reaching you live from our network studio in Abuja. I'm Ian Ray John. Reading with me tonight is Dotun Ogunyemi in Lagos. Thank you for joining us. Nigeria and the Republic of Benin have resolved to take definitive measures towards putting an end to smuggling and other illicit activities across their common borders for enhanced bilateral relations. This formed the highlight of the high-level engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari and the Benin Republic President Patrice Talon. State House correspondent Adam Musamba reports that the meeting was the first since the reopening of Nigeria's land borders by the federal government.
The last time President Patrice Talon met President Muhammadu Buhari was in December 2019 to solicit for Nigeria's understanding towards the reopening of Seme border, in particular, whose closure impacted negatively on his country's economy. Although it took almost 1 year for this prayer to be answered, but as the saying goes, it is better late than never. He is therefore here to not only show appreciation, but also give personal assurances on the bold measures to be taken by his country towards ensuring that cross-border activities that have enormous consequences on Nigeria do not reoccur. and that dominated discussions between the two leaders behind closed doors, as explained by Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama.
The President of Benin is going to do everything within his powers to ensure that this thing doesn't rear its ugly head ever again, that there will never be any issue of whatever, whether it's smuggling, whether it's trafficking, whatever it is, between Benin and Nigeria. They're going to set up a committee to come up with terms of reference, to take some very bold and very decisive steps and sustainable steps to ensure that all the issues that have been affecting the relationship between the two countries should be definitively put behind us.
You must recall that Nigeria just opened its borders, and now we have a new opportunity for Nigerian traders to benefit from the open borders. Now it's an opportunity for Nigerian traders to be able to take their goods across into the West African sub-region. So this portends good business and increased trade relations between Nigeria and other West African countries. And also you must remember that Nigeria signed on to the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which came into force on the 1st of January this year. So it is key that the borders are open so that this agreement that we have signed can be effective.
During the interactive engagement, President Muhammadu Buhari reiterated the importance of good neighborliness, saying the survival of your neighbor is also your own, hence the resolve by Nigeria to continue working with her neighbors towards deepening relations in critical economic sectors. He said a common understanding must continue to be forged on crucial issues, including security, trade, and development for the good of the two countries and their peoples.
Mr. President wants the two countries to be a shining example of what economic integration is all about within the framework of ECOWAS, to live to the ideals and the vision of ECOWAS, and for the two countries, Benin and Nigeria, to show that it can work and be a win-win for the two countries. Smuggling of drugs and intelligence as to the sources of that and who the beneficiaries are should be addressed comprehensively and definitively.
Any assurances from the Benin leader?
Oh yes, the President of Benin came with some very concrete proposals about resolving these issues definitively so that we'll never ever have to deal with them ever again.
President Patrice Talon, who appreciated the robust leadership being displayed by President Muhammadu Buhari, made a strong case for the relationship between the two neighboring countries to remain cordial. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has flagged off the federal government rapid response register for the COVID-19 cash transfer for urban poor and vulnerable people, which is part of programs to bail out 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila reports that the initiative is to create more opportunities that will give hope and dignity.
Adopting a quick scale-up approach using cutting-edge satellite imaginary technology to identify the target beneficiaries brought about the idea of the Rapid Response Register.
As of 31st December 2020, we have identified and registered about 24.3 million poor and vulnerable individuals in the National Social Register, equivalent to about 5.7 million households. Through this project, we're currently injecting about 10 billion naira directly into the hands of about 2 million poor and vulnerable households every month. The Rapid Response Register is designed to focus mainly on the urban poor wards, selected using scientifically validated methods of satellite remote sensing technology.
Each of the beneficiaries is to receive 5,000 naira monthly for a period of 6 months to strengthen the development agenda of vulnerable communities. The scope of the program is coverage of all the 36 states and the FCT.
Our experience during the COVID-19 pandemic reinforced this position, especially given the requirement of the COVID-19 protocols, as well as our inability to immediately reach the urban poor impacted by the pandemic.
3,115 people from the FCT and Lagos State are to benefit from the grant in the pilot scheme. In Abuja, Abraman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government, through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, says it is ready and has the capacity to handle the COVID-19 vaccine as Nigeria looks forward to receiving the first batch of 200,000 COVID-19 vaccine from a foreign pharmaceutical company. This was evident when journalists were given a tour of the National Strategic Cold Store in Abuja. Salwa Khalil Ibrahim was there and brought back this report.
Certainty about the nation's capacity to store COVID-19 vaccines has been put to rest by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency with the availability of 3 ultra-cold chain equipment located along Airport Road, capable of storing up to 400,000 doses of vaccine at +2 to +8 degrees Celsius, which is more than enough space to store and retain the exigencies of the vaccine. With this storage facility, Nigeria is set to receive 100,000 doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine in the next few weeks.
The clock starts ticking when we have those quantities of vaccines that we can actually begin to make a huge dent in terms of coverage of Nigerians.
Another concern was the doubt about the COVID-19 vaccine, which the health agency says NAFDAC is ready to certify the safety of the vaccine before it will be administered on the citizens.
The possibility of taking that decision to vaccinate Nigerians is the responsibility of government. It is a sacred trust that we do not take for granted.
While similar storage facilities are domiciled in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, about 70% Nigerians are expected to have access to equitable vaccination within the first 2 years of its commencement. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
And still on the pandemic, against the rising cases of COVID-19, Kano State government has imposed a fresh ban on the activities of viewing and event centers across the state. The State Commissioner for Information, Muhammad Garba, who announced this to NTA News, said the measure was part of decisions at a stakeholders meeting held at the Kano Government House. Abdullahi Mustafa has details.
With the increasing rate of COVID-19 cases in the country, the number of active cases in Kano has risen from less than 10 in November 2020 to more than 300 as at the time of this report. 16 deaths were recorded. This informed an emergency stakeholders meeting with Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, during which a decision to suspend the activities of sports viewing and event centers was taken. All civil servants were also directed to stay at home pending further directive.
We realized that the issue of compliance was completely zero, and we have to come and strategize. That's why the meeting felt that we should immediately suspend the activities of all the viewing centers and event centers that we are having in Kano because of the crowd, because of the congestion of people.
The commissioner also disclosed that very soon the state governor will hold meetings with representatives of transport unions, market associations, and school principals on ways to ensure strict compliance with laid-down safety protocols. He assured that necessary measures will be taken by the state government to flatten the pandemic curve. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
And away from Kano now, election of members of the ECOWAS Parliament by direct universal suffrage is part of the new mandate conferred on the Parliament by the adoption of the Supplementary Act enhancing its powers. Recommendations of Parliament's ad hoc committee on the matter has been adopted by members at plenary. Onengie Fanfish reports on this and other issues in the virtual ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament.
Highlights of recommendations on the election of members of Parliament by direct universal suffrage include its implementation before the end of the 5th legislature, thematic meetings on specific areas such as financing, electoral code, code of good conduct, and qualifications for election into the ECOWAS Parliament are to be organized as soon as possible. The recommendations add that key ECOWAS institution stakeholders like Authority of Heads of State, Council of Ministers, ECOWAS Commission and ECOWAS Court of Justice should be consulted on this mission, while a prominent citizen is appointed as champion to lead advocacy on the process.
Draft directive adopting the regional cybersecurity and cybercrime strategy. 6. Draft directive adopting the ECOWAS regional policy on critical infrastructure protection. Article 2 mandates the Speaker to forward this resolution to the President of the Commission.
Our regional strategy on cybersecurity and the 2021 program of activities for the Parliament were also considered and adopted at plenary.
I have no doubt that we have the capacity to continue our work. We must remain steadfast and always put the interests of the people above self-interest.
The ordinary session ended with amendments in the membership and leadership of some standing committees. Onengiye Fine Face, NTA News.
In other news, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has observed that the signing into law of the Modibo Adama University Yola by President Muhammadu Buhari is a true reflection of the commitment of this administration in people-oriented achievements. He was speaking when he granted audience to a delegation from the university led by its Vice-Chancellor, Professor Abdullahi Tukur, in company of some National Assembly members from Adamawa State on a thank-you visit. Senator Lawan noted that the expansion of universities' academic capacity is a product of harmonious relationship between the legislature and the executive.
And I will take this opportunity to commend Mr. President, President Muhammadu Buhari, for assenting to that amendment. And this is what we call cooperative governance. We work with the executive to ensure that Nigerian people benefit from democracy. The 9th National Assembly has achieved so much between 2019 to date for the benefit of this country. Despite the pandemic, I'm particularly happy with recent developments by our armed forces. They are doing better than they were doing before.
This is a service you have done to humanity. We are most grateful. History will remember you very kindly on this singular act of making education broad-based in our own area.
The law now empowers Modibo Adama University to run all approved academic programs like other conventional universities in the country. Up ahead, FIRS recorded 98% tax revenue target in 2020. Details when we return. Do stay.
Come, my flavored chocolate, a yakma for you now.
I'm coming.
Come, let me spoil you. Look, this is not boil or abscess. Now money.
Muna show for Kilis Lounge right now. Babes, yakpa for you.
Find your first. Get a Glow Special Data Plan. Dial *777# Glow.
Bill Emirate Council Borno State cordially invite the general public to the formal presentation of staff of office to Mai Mustafa Umar Mustafa II, Emir of Biu, by the special guest of honor, His Excellency Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, MNI, Executive Governor of Borno State, special guest Al-Haji Abubakar Ibn Umar Garbai El-Kanami, CFR, Shah of Borno, and Chairman Borno State Council of Chiefs. Date, Saturday 23rd January 2021. Venue, Biu Township Stadium. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Come one, come all. Long live Biu Emirate. Long live Borno State, long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Announcer Muhammad Ibrahim, Dammasan Biu, Chairman, Media and Publicity Committee.
Dear customer, link your Airtel number to your national identification number today. Here are easy ways you can do it. Dial *121*1# on your Airtel line and follow the prompts on the screen. Type in your 11-digit government-approved NIN number. You will receive a confirmation message to confirm your entry. You can also visit www.airtel.com.ng/NIN to link your phone number to your NIN. If you do not know your NIN, simply dial *346# to get it. No stress, no wahala.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
The management of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, hereby invites stakeholders to the first annual National Tax Dialogue with the theme Taxation in a Post-COVID Economy. The event, taking place at the Banquet Hall State House Presidential Villa, Abuja, will be declared open by the Special Guest of Honor and President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari. Date, 21st January 2021 at 9 a.m. prompt. Chairman of the occasion is Dr. Olukayode Fayemi, Executive Governor, Ekiti State. Keynote speaker, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President, African Development Bank.
Chairman of panels, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Executive Governor of Lagos State. Alhaji Isa Ali Pantami, Minister of Communications and Digital Economy.
Guest speakers Logan Ward, Executive Secretary, African Tax Administration Forum. Hajia Amina J. Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General, United Nations. Chief host is Hajia Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning. Host, Prince Clement Abba, Minister of State for Finance, Budget and National Planning. Announcer, Mohammed Nami, Executive Chairman, FIRS.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher no mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher jọ̀wọ́, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged yes school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi, we know happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, Shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
Thank you for staying. The presidency has reacted to happenings in Ondo State, saying it has been keenly monitoring events occurring in the state and the orders by the government of the state asking headers to vacate the forest in 7 days. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says what is clearly emerging is a lack of consistency in messaging, which in turn leads to various contradictions regarding accuracy and the intent behind the message. Adding that there is little to be said other than to call for restraint on both sides and urge the state government and the leadership of the Fulani communities to continue their dialogue for a good understanding that will bring to an urgent end the security challenges facing the state. The statement also stated that the president, who swore to defend the constitution, is prepared to do all that the law permits to protect citizens all over the country in their choice of where they wish to reside and are treated as equal citizens. Therefore, the government of Ondo and all the 35 others across the Federation must draw clear lines between the criminals and the law-abiding citizens who must equally be saved from the infiltrators. Now, looking at business. Out of the 5.7 trillion naira tax revenue set for the Federal Inland Revenue Service in the year 2020 by the federal government, 4.9 trillion naira was generated, representing 98% of the national tax target. The Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Muhammad Nami, disclosed this at a press conference in Abuja. Benny Adams reports.
Chris Eze has been working as a mobile phone software installer for many years and makes good money from his clients, but has never paid a dime as tax. Not because he does not want to, but because he has no idea how to go about it or where to start from. On the other hand, Abubakar Akwanga has been on government payroll for more than 10 years. Before he receives his monthly pay, about 15,000 naira is deducted as tax. Like Chris Eze, there are many Nigerians in the informal sector of the economy who don't pay tax. But that is about to change as the FIRS is employing technology for tax receipts.
Payment of tax is a civic duty for every Nigerian to discharge, and I keep saying that the money you pay as tax goes in cycles and comes back to you in different forms.
Mohamed Nemi said the effects of COVID-19 disruptions on businesses and dropping oil prices, in addition to the aftermath of NSAS protests, which forced the service to grant tax waivers to small companies. The service still recorded a non-oil tax collection of 109% in 2020, which is 9% higher than the previous year. The success he attributed to a number of reforms, which include capacity building for staff, improved staff welfare, and deployment of appropriate technology for tax operation. Nemi expressed optimism that the new year will be better, with expected exploration activities in the oil and gas sector. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
And I happen to have Benny Adams with me here in the studio to give us more news from the business world. Benny, just before you fire, what's your take on the FIRS scorecard?
That scorecard, I will tell you, is an extraordinary performance that is not expected at a time like this, talking about the disruptions by COVID-19 to businesses across the globe. It's actually a wonderful performance.
All right.
Welcome to Business News. We start on a cheering note that the Africa Medical Supplies Platform, on behalf of the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, today commences the COVID-19 vaccines pre-order program for all African Union member states. Afri-Exim Bank will facilitate payments by providing advance procurement commitment guarantees of up to $2 billion to the manufacturers on behalf of the member states. The 270 million COVID-19 vaccines are from Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and AstraZeneca. The African Union chairperson, President Cyril Ramaphosa, says the initiative is to ensure fair allocation coupled with timely and equitable access of COVID-19 vaccines across the continent. And moving to the stock market, we have a little bad news. Investors closed today with 16.0 billion naira as equities market closed today on a negative note. The NSE ASA depreciated by minus 0.07% to close at 41,051.63 basis points, as against minus 0.23% depreciation recorded previously. Its year-to-date returns currently stands at 1.94%. Market breadth closed positive as Afromedia led 43 gainers as against 21 losers, topped by Japol Oil at the end of today's session. An improved performance when compared with previous outlook. Market turnover closes negative as volume moved down by 0.28.91% as against 10.79% uptick recorded in the previous session. Transcorp, Jopol Oil, and Zenith Bank were the most active to boost market turnover. Boa Cement and Zenith Bank topped market value list. Well, let's take a trip to the global scene and see how transactions went at the end of today. Well, that's a wrap on the business end of the news. Nyeri, it's over to you.
Thank you, Benny. Now, Kaduna Electric, in collaboration with the Special Investigation and Prosecution Task Force for Electricity Offenders, apprehended a syndicate that specializes in cloning electricity meters and perpetrating electricity tariff theft in Kaduna. Haruna Mohammed reports.
Various initiatives under the Electric Power Sector Reform Act of 2005 upon privatization of the industry encourage distribution companies on effective implementation of metering for accountability and service delivery. On the basis, Kaduna Electric Distribution Company has been doing that in addition to the free mass metering scheme by the federal government to address estimated billing of customers. Leveraging on this development, the suspects who specialize in metering business allegedly went into cloning electricity meters to perpetrate energy theft. Luck ran out of them and were apprehended following a tip-off. I realized the same unit bought for a meter is used to recharge several meters. I saw it is not supposed to be like that, so I raised alarm. One of the suspects allegedly imported a device to perpetrate the act.
Any IC that has no information on it or it got damaged, you source for an original IC that is on the system, you clone into it, and that is all.
Chief of Marketing and Revenue Assurance Officer, Kaduna Electric Distribution Company, Abubakar Jimeta, says records have shown that more than 1,000 metered customers are not paying, resulting in huge loss to the company.
It's sabotage to Kaduna Electric, it's sabotage to the federal government. It's also impacting on our customers, our esteemed customers, most especially those that are not metered, are on estimation, meaning that where these clonings are happening on the feeder or on the DT, all these customers that have engaged in this, the customers on those DTs or the feeders are the ones paying for the electricity these people are consuming, which in other words also impacts in their pockets.
Last year alone we arrested over 184 stolen meters from some suspects, which were stolen from various customers.
The suspects will be charged to court at the conclusion of investigation. In Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
The federal government has flagged off an empowerment program targeting 23,000 unemployed youths in Rivers State. Emmanuel Lene reports that this is one of the federal government's interventionist programs in the state aimed at making them self-reliant.
Extended Special Public Works Program is one of the several federal government intervention programs aimed at shading the most vulnerable from the ravaging effects of COVID-19 pandemic. The program is designed as a veritable tool through which the lives of 774,000 unemployed Nigerian youths will be positively impacted in the next 3 months, out of which 23,000 is allotted to Rivers State.
Communities will receive a facelift through the activities of these participants. People that are affected in this program are those who are the most vulnerable in our society.
Very wonderful work on development to this administration and to the country generally.
Working tools as well as protective wares were provided for their daily work schedule. The program is expected to last for a period of 3 months, while the 774,000 youths engaged will be earning a stipend of 20,000 naira each month. In Port Harcourt, Emmanuel Elene, NTA News.
And away from Port Harcourt now, Emir of Dutse in Jigawa State, Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi, has applauded the Nigeria Television Authority, NTA, for being a medium that promotes the country's peaceful coexistence through its news programs and content. The Emir stated this during the inauguration of SAM projects in NTA Dutse by the Executive Director, News of NTA, Muhammad Labo, on behalf of the Director General, Mansur Aliyu Hassan reports.
Established 23 years ago, NTA Dutse has been projecting the cultural, socio-economic and religious values of the people of Jigawa State. The two projects inaugurated are a virtual studio set and that of flood control with the interlocking landscaping of operational and administrative sections of the station. While inaugurating the projects with the support of the Emir of Dutse, Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi, the Executive Director, News Muhammad Labbu, said the idea of migrating to digital transmission was born out of the NTA's readiness to join in the global best practices.
Anybody who's been watching NTA in the last 3-4 years, will know that the screen has improved, the graphics has improved, everything has improved.
He commended the NTA Dutse management and staff for this feat, while calling on them to continue serving the people of Jigawa State. While conducting the dignitaries round, the general manager of the station, Abdullahi Garba Birnin Kudu, informed them that the idea of the renovation was to allow staff of the station have seamless access to their offices during the rainy season.
We divided it into 3 phases. This is the first phase, and by the grace of God, if we are here, we'll continue to do the second and the third phase.
I'm aware of what efforts they have made, and their personal efforts made this station what it is now.
The guest also inspected the new NTA Dutse garden, which was named after the pioneer general manager of the station, Idris Bako Muhammad. In Dutse, Mansur Aliyu Hassan, NTA News.
Now time to pause here in Abuja and let Dotun feed us with more stories from Lagos. Dotun, it's over to you.
Thank you, Ian Rai. As contractors handling the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway begin construction of additional works to the project, such as flyovers and interchanges at strategic junctions, the progress of work on the main carriageway is to be totally completed by December this year. This was disclosed by the Director of Highway Reconstruction and Rehabilitation, Funsho Adebi, during an inspection of some ongoing projects in the southwest. As work along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway continues, significant progress is being achieved, and details of this are not just graphically represented on charts, they are visible, with motorists recording shorter travel time along both sections of the 127.6-kilometer road. The challenge that, however, needs to be addressed remains indiscriminate parking of trucks on the road.
We see trailers in their hundreds. The trailers are in their hundreds there. And they are parked on the shoulder. We are just preparing. We are begging our people, stop parking on our roads. You are destroying the roads, and regulate your weight. The weight you are carrying is too much for this pavement. Who designed those trucks also designed that you carry 30 tons at a time. What do they carry? Some of them carry as much as 90 tons.
As the federal government targets improved port operations, the Apapa-Oshodi-Oboroshoki Expressway has achieved an average of 61% completion on all sections of the project.
On some of our major roads, Apapa-Oshodi-Oboroshoki, Lagos-Ibadan, Lagos-Otabe-Okuta, even Third Mainland Bridge, Outer Marina, all of the Ikorodu-Shagam, we are going to make, it's already on our plan, we are going to make appreciable progress.
The team also inspected the Ibadan-Ilorin road and assured of speedy completion as several challenges such as mining and construction on right-of-way, among other issues, are being addressed. And in education, as academic activities resume across schools in Lagos, the State Commissioner for Education, Folashade Adefisayo, has warned that any school found violating COVID-19 protocols will be sanctioned. She gave the warning during an unscheduled visit to some schools in the state. Musa Toliat reports.
The visit by the Commissioner for Education, Folashade Adefisayo, was aimed at reassuring parents of the state government's commitment to keeping the students safe, given concerns expressed in some quarters that government should have extended schools resumption beyond January 18th date. It was also a moment for the Education Commissioner to appraise the availability of COVID-19 safety materials and suitability of the environment for effective learning as students come to terms with the new normal in an academic environment. Public and private schools in Agege, Ikeja, and Alimosho played host to the Commissioner for Education and her team.
We have more than 50 teams on the road. You don't meet the protocols, we will sanction you appropriately. The most important thing for us is that they meet the protocols for safety of life.
The Commissioner also took time to further sensitize students on COVID-19 protocols and preventive measures.
Please stay safe, leave your mask on all the time, okay? It's for your own safety. If somebody has COVID and cough, it cannot enter into your nostril, isn't it?
I've learned that we should wash our hands daily, wear our nose masks to prevent the coronavirus.
We should obey the rules of the COVID-19. We should always wear nose masks and always wash our hands.
The school monitoring officers from the Office of Education Quality Assurance were also deployed by the Lagos State government to other parts of the metropolis to ensure compliance and step up sensitization on COVID-19 in schools.
Wash your hands with soap and water.
In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Let's now take another break. Network News continues shortly.
Ross, good afternoon. Sorry, good morning. I beg, please, I need 5K. Now, emergency matter, I'll return it back next week. 5K? Next week, oh, I beg. Next week, I'll give it back. I don't want your story. Hello?
Bro,
what's in the apple?
I beg, I need 5K next week. Now only you feel help me.
Oh, yeah, come, now come, I dey shop.
Bros, have fun now, how market? I know say next month you're supposed to pay me those materials where I supply you last week. But the thing is, I need that 5K out of that money.
5K again?
I beg, I need to.
Why everybody gonna ask me for 5K this early morning now? What's in the apple?
I beg.
Okay. First person, 5K. Second person, 5K. 5K.
Uche. Bros, yeah. See, how far that 5K now?
I'm not going to give you that money until you tell me what you want to do.
Now, Zenith Bank, Zenith Bank, they give 30,000 naira worth of gift to 50 of them customers every week.
You don't mean it?
Not true. All you guys do now to open bank account, leave 5K for inside, go collect ATM card, go register for their mobile banking app, or star 966 hash. Easy banking, that's all.
50 people will win gifts worth 30,000 naira each every Friday from now to July 30, 2021. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account. Fund your account with a minimum of 5,000 naira. Request and collect a Zenith Bank debit card, virtual or physical. Download and register on the Zenith Bank mobile app or register for star 966 hash easy banking. That's all it takes.
Look my shop. I don't think I last.
What's the 5K now?
Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Customer, here are the tomatoes. What else shall I give you?
Hot pepper and Auntie, this your cough is getting out of hand now.
Take it easy with her now. But customer, this your cough. You should go to the hospital.
You know I can't go there with this cough at this time. They'll just say I have COVID-19.
Customer, every cough is different. It could be tuberculosis.
It's true, Auntie. Check am o, make you dey sure.
Because who no go?
No go, no.
Check that cough for tuberculosis.
Check am o, make you dey sure.
If your cough is more than 2 weeks, it could be tuberculosis. TB tests and TB treatment are free. Just call the National TB Hotline on 3340 for information on where to get the test. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Health with support from the American people.
The Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria, FRIN, located in Ibadan, the capital of Ondo State, southwest Nigeria, has been repositioned for better service delivery to its teeming clients across the globe. The institute remains undoubtedly as a foremost research center of excellence with respect to knowledge-based forestry activities as measured by the acquired scientific breakthrough. FRIN has demonstrated that youths, women and retirees can make millions of naira practicing low-capital agriculture. These include cane, rat, rabbit, and snail farming with returns on investments regularly. Added to its feathers is a certification by NAFDAC to the FRIN C-Tone Herbal Mixture and Remedy for the management of COVID-19 related ailments as immune booster. The institute is recognized by several international agencies. Recently, it got approval for 3 biosphere reserves in Nigeria by the UNESCO, MAB, and ICC. FRIN has come to stay. The future is very bright in making the forest profitable.
Glad to have you back. Sokoto State government has set up a committee to ascertain the cause of the fire at the Sokoto Central Market. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal made the announcement during a visit to the market. Dalhatu Abdullahi has the report.
As at the time of the governor's visit, the Central Market Sokoto was still burning. Firefighters and security personnel were on ground to save wires from hoodlums, while heavy-duty trucks were breaking the market fence to create more access into the market to enhance rescue operations.
It is a very sad development. We appeal to the general public, and particularly those who are owners of shops and having investments in this market, to remain calm as we are doing everything humanly possible to bring it under control.
Meanwhile, state government has immediately set up a committee under the leadership of the State Deputy Governor Mandere Muhammad Daiya to assess the damage caused by the inferno and the victims for possible response. The Central Market suffered fire outbreaks, including the worst one on the 16th of April 2006 and another in 2010. Meanwhile, the Kebbi State Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu has sympathized with the government and the people of Sokoto State over the fire incident, saying the losses incurred affect the business communities in the entire Northwest. He pledged a donation of 30 million naira to the victims. In Sokoto, Dalatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Similarly, efforts have been intensified to open the Presidential Boulevard Road, Abuja, where 3 people lost their lives following a petroleum tanker explosion Tuesday morning. Lekon Agbonde has an update.
The explosion occurred at about 8:15 Tuesday morning along Presidential Boulevard, Kuto, Abeokuta, when a 33,000 petrol-laden tanker allegedly lost its brake. Many vehicles and motorcycles on the road were trapped and subsequently got burnt. This lady, who had difficulty in controlling her emotion as one of the survivors, narrates her experience.
The trailer had a failed brake and it fell on us. That was all.
I just noticed a sound. When I noticed that sound, I could look back. All I could see is just an explosion.
We have 3 people who are burnt to death.
Men and officers of federal and state fire services and other law enforcement agencies were on ground to manage that situation.
You know, we battled with fire and we went back to refill again so that we can contain the fire.
Those injured have been taken to the hospital.
6 individuals that have various degrees of burns, and they've been resuscitated. The initial phase is to triage them and resuscitate them, replace their fluids, and then we're getting a plastic surgeon in.
As at the time of filing this report, efforts are on to clear the wreckage for free flow of traffic. In Abeokuta, Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
Meanwhile, despite challenges posed by coronavirus pandemic last year, severe impacts of fire disasters were averted by the Federal Fire Service, where many lives were saved, including property of Nigerians running into trillions of naira across the country. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that the breakthrough was highlighted during the 2021 Fire Service Review.
2020 may have come and gone, but not without some challenges, especially in the area of fire outbreak, as the country lost 32.12 billion naira to fire disaster, saved 1.351 trillion naira, while 3,555 lives were saved in different rescue operations. As an additional reinforcement for proactive operations within the year under review, more commands across the 6 geopolitical zones were established, while equipment were procured to stem the tide of fire disaster.
What we are proposing here now is what will cover 2021, 2022. We are hoping that by 2022 December or latest middle of 2023, this work will have been concluded.
Now the 2021 prospect seems to be brighter as 89 firefighting trucks and other rapid intervention vehicles, personnel training on foreign high-rise building and ICT-based operation are captured in the current budget. The Federal Fire Service restated commitment to collaborate with state fire service commands for effective service delivery and risk reduction during emergency operations. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
In other news, the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, has expressed readiness to support Comrade Mohammed Jimoh's aspiration of becoming the new national president of Ratau. The Director General of the NTA, Malam Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, stated this when Jimoh and his campaign team visited the management of NTA. Alika Okwanachi Arawa reports.
This is a meeting of 2 groups with similar objectives of promoting good leadership to facilitate synergy between staff and management of broadcasting organizations. On this day, however, one is soliciting the other's support to lead the Radio, Television and Theatre Workers Union, Ratau. The aspirant, Mohammed Jimoh, pledges to make workers' welfare top priority if elected.
One very particular thing about state councils and chapters that don't get their dues at regular interval. So these are things we want to focus on and make every member have confidence in our leadership.
The Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, cautioned against bitterness and rancor during and after the election and pledges management support to the union.
I'm guaranteeing you on behalf of my colleagues in management and the entire workforce of the NTA, that NTA is going to be 100% behind Jimoh because his success is the success of NTA.
The Radio, Television, Theatre and Art Workers Union of Nigeria, Ratau, is a trade union representing workers in the arts and media industries in Nigeria. In Abuja, Alika Okwanachi Arawa, NTA News.
Another break beckons. We'll be right back.
Repositioning of Federal Inland Revenue Services for increased revenue generation and the catalyst of Finance Act 2020. What it's all about in the financial system of Nigeria. That is our focus on Tuesday Live this week. Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Incisive and educating. Join us.
This is the
the Wilson family last week. This is the Wilson family this week. What's changed?
What?
The Wilson family got maximum entertainment for less, and now they're closer than ever. Your family can be too.
How does this work?
With world-class international channels that put the quality back in your quality time.
That's what I'm talking about.
GoTV Max will bring you and your family closer in no time. So upgrade to GoTV Max for only 2,999 naira today. Make them enjoy. GoTV. Love it.
Let's talk sports now. Nigerians react to the Golden Eaglets' 2-3 loss to Cote d'Ivoire at the final of the Wafu B Under-17 football tournament in Togo. Adenike Kenam is our guide on Sports Update.
Football enthusiasts charged the technical crew of the Golden Eaglets of Nigeria to work on the lapses noticed in the team ahead of the CAF Under-17 Nations Cup, which comes up in Morocco in March this year. The Golden Eaglets settled for a second place at the end of the tournament, which ended in Togo.
If we're struggling in the next regional competition, we're going to struggle at the major competition itself unless something drastic is done.
They need to improve their game if they really want to advance in the African Cup of Nations and go into the World Cup.
From Asaba, Austin Edomodu reports that the 10th edition of the Asaba Ladies Golf Open ended with defending champion Supo Rachel Danjuma of the IBB Golf Club Abuja retaining her title for the third consecutive time, with a handicap of 8, getting a gross score of 166 to win the competition after 2 days.
I play my best, and by God's grace, God helped me, and I conquered.
Preparations have been concluded for the Abdulrahman Abdulrazak Portuguese Invitational Volleyball Championship in Kwara State, tagged Oloru Female Super Cup from the 27th to 30th January 2021. A total of 8 teams are expected to feature at the championship.
Learning how to participate in this sport, and especially this volleyball, and it could become a career path for the young ones.
This year, you said you also want to organize that of female only.
This is the first time in the annals of volleyball in Nigeria when Women Championship will be held. On a sad note, a former Minister of Sports, Bala Bawa Koje, has died after a brief illness in Abuja. The former House of Representative member from Kebbi State, who died at the age of 60, was a sports minister from 2006 to 2007. With sports updates at Adenike Kenam, NTA News.
Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun and a senator representing Ogun Central Senatorial District, Ibukule Amosun, among other eminent Nigerians, continue to pay tribute to the late former Minister of State for Finance, Jubril Martins Kuye, describing his passing as end of an era and depletion of the rank of elder statesmen. The late Are Musulumi of Ogun State passed on at the age of 78. Joel Kukwala captured the mood at the burial of late DMK at his hometown, Agoiwaye.
News of the demise of the Ashiwaji of Agowoye and Third Republic Senator Jubril Martins Kuye was received with heavy heart by residents and sympathizers who came from far and near. The chief imam of Ijebu land, Alhaji Muftau Anyanbadejo, led other clerics in prayers and supplications to Allah for the repose of the soul of the departed elder statesman. The body of the former minister was laid to eternal rest in his residence amid tears and encomiums from his loved ones.
A successful politician, a successful businessman. We thank God for his life, even though it's a painful death.
He's a man with the heart of gold. He imparted on a lot of lives.
Late Senator Jubril Martins Kuye died on the 17th of January this year at the age of 78. From Agowoye, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
And that's Network News tonight. Please be reminded that the fight against rape and rapists is still on. We must stamp out this evil act. Thank you for watching. I'm Ian Ray John. Good night.
that unites Nigeria. These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
Did you get to see the way Daily Babadu pulls this? Don't forget to send in your messages.
There's a difference between picking, child, and issue. That is can do more with less people.
If we have a better way of addressing these issues, taking care of...
Congratulations, you were able to sign Timo Werner from RB Leipzig.
So you take water before your workout.
People have used that phone, using TikTok to do that.
Should I go for test?
A lot of people don't even have resources.
I'm Cecil, and this is the Medley Show on NTA.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire.
Teacher no mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher no mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Sega, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi. We no happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, Shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, I talk with that now.
Not for me. You want make a die? Not for me because of Pamio.
Teacher Joe.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest asset the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support, yes, by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths.
and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria, pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Life can be very eventful. We curiously expect things to happen, even when we don't know what. Our human nature makes us like and repost lots of information. Some are unverified, inciting anger and hate. Sometimes innocently, other times the urge to break it first. This, in most cases, has caused destruction in many nations.
The importance of having a national identification database cannot be overemphasized. It is a major prerequisite for the operation of a digital economy, and one of the reasons why it appears that some societies are better structured than others. Nigeria is on the path of economy digitization, and to be able to provide the required inclusive growth that the nation targets, there is need to ensure that all citizens and legal residents are captured in the database. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Dateline 360. I am Omotola Omojola, and on this edition, the SIM card and national identity number integration is our focus. The Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, as part of continuous drive to have more Nigerians registered, recently embarked on SIM card NIN integration. This has been noted as essential for creating efficiencies in services while ensuring security of citizens as well as preventing electoral fraud. In this report, ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson highlights the importance of registering for NIN and seeks answers to some pressing questions on the matter.
If you think that the National Identity Management Commission just came up with the enrollment request, then you're probably in the category of people who are still in a rush to get a national identity number, especially with the federal government's directive of linking SIM with SIM cards. But the fact is, the Commission had long commenced identity and enrollment registration in 2012 and has enrolled and issued about 41.5 million unique identifiers, known as NIN, till date.
It was announced on 4th February 2020 that each and every citizen should ensure that within these 10 months he has obtained his national identity number. But you know our challenge in this country, we only let our rushing.
It is required that we link all the SIM with the NIN, and by law that sets up NIMC. By a particular time that NIMC comes up with regulations, then we are required to abide by those regulations. And those regulations came out since 2015 and also 2017. So we are just implementing what has been there as law. And also, as you know, we also have other challenges to do with kidnapping, banditry, and other security challenges.
It is an established fact that identity for citizens is necessary as it reduces the cost of governance, enhances government service delivery, empowers security agencies, and facilitates enforcement of law and order.
You cannot do national planning effectively without having national identity number for your citizens. When it comes to budget, nobody can tell you the total number of our citizens today in the country. Nobody can tell you the total number of those within each bracket. Nobody can tell you the total number of people that are within the bracket of people with disabilities.
National identification number is a private number issued to a person. In fact, it is printed only on the name slip. It is not even printed on the card because it is a privacy thing. It's private to the individual. Therefore, citizens should guard this NIN. Non-Nigerians who are resident and have spent up to 2 years here, they are also entitled to be given NIN. But foreigners who are here temporarily, then they should only show their international passport and also the visa that they have to the telcos, and they can register the person and give him a temporary name.
With the digitization policy and the recent decision to link SIM cards with NIN, it is expected that Nigerians will take their personal identity seriously, as more are expected in other fields of endeavor to meet the country's quest for a digital nation. For Deadline 360, Joseph Johnson.
National planning for infrastructure development is among the merits of having the SIM card linked with the national identification numbers, and that is the desire of most Nigerians. However, many delay the simple act of responsibility, despite the fact that the process has been ongoing for years. Adeni Taiwo, who reports from Lagos, says the process is fast becoming a rat race for anxious applicants in Lagos State, with less than 100 active centers available to register them.
With a projected population of about 22 million residents, Lagos State, as the commercial nerve center of Nigeria, is home to about 20 million telecommunication subscribers.
NIN is as important as citizenship. Every citizen, as it implies, should be identified by this number.
This scene here at the allowance office of NIMSE captures the level of anxiety among applicants as more residents of Lagos State lay siege on offices of the Commission for their biometric data capturing. Many of them will not only deny themselves sleep, but also defy the hot weather as well as the risk of contracting COVID-19 just to get a chance at registering for the National Identification Number, NIN.
I actually did my online, so I printed a form out. So they asked me to bring it to Alausa here. I spoke to one of the officials and showed him. One of them told me it does not matter. I have to redo it again.
Even if we wanted to follow rules based on the limited time that the government is given to the citizen to get themselves registered, to have your job doing, you wouldn't like this to tie you down.
In view of the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic, the surging crowd at most of the centers is a concern for both the applicants and the Commission.
They say there's coronavirus, and yet the crowd here is too much. We'll just be going from one local government to the other, and yet there's no concrete arrangement that is being done on the ground.
Conscious of the need to reduce the number of applicants who visit its 50 centers across the state, the Commission, apart from activating its licensed agents, has also adopted a booking arrangement for the enrollment exercise. By this arrangement, only 200 applicants who have been booked ahead are attended to on a daily basis with social distancing as a condition.
I came there for yesterday. They asked us to write name down. Same thing yesterday. I wrote my name down, thinking that if I come this morning, maybe they may call up my name. But I've been here since morning.
We came in and we were booked, we were given time. A lot of people get crashed and they're not given time and they don't understand what's going on. So there's lots of crowd.
Last Thursday and Friday that we didn't work, those people that were booked for those days, we accommodated them. It's a bit hectic today, but we're on top of it.
Reacting to calls for off-site NIN registration in order to further reduce crowd, the regional coordinator said such process, whether online or through BVN, is incomplete without the physical capturing of applicants' biometric data.
A NIN has been allocated to the BVN. So if such BVN holders dial *346, they will get a NIN. But the NIN becomes active when they come to our enrollment center to complete the data, the biometrics capturing.
Barring any change in government directive, phone subscribers who already have their NIN have up to January 19 to link their SIM card and identification number, while those who are yet to get their NIN have till February 9, 2021 to do so. In Lagos, Adeni Taiwo for Dateline 360.
And it may appear that residents of Sokoto State are adopting the never say die attitude as the deadline for SIM-NIN integration is fast approaching. Shehu Mohammed Deiti reports that this is disrupting the booking system adopted by NIMC. He also reports that experts are calling for more enlightenment on the importance of national identification number to encourage more Nigerians at the grassroots to register.
Though the national identification registration has been on for years, the federal government directive of linking SIM cards with the national identification number has compelled many Nigerians to go for the registration. This is to avoid blockage of their SIM cards and ensure that the deadline given by the federal government did not lapse. Lack of cooperation from citizens is one of the major challenges of the booking system.
The new booking system is workable if all and sundry will cooperate with NIMC. But the problem we are having here is that, in fact, when we book applicant on a certain days, in fact, majority of them do not cooperate. They will just be staying by the gate, lingering. And that's the problem we are having with them. And with this, the fraudster used to come in and penetrate. They will be collecting money, disguising as NIMC staff.
The data ecosystem provides an avenue for private firms to register Nigerians and speed up the registration process.
It's to allow private and public partners to come in and enroll Nigerian and legal residents into the National Identity Management Commission for the issuance of national identity number. This is the advantage, and it also provides a forum or platform where mass enrollment of applicants can be done through this system.
Behind me is the state office of the National Identification Management Commission. As you can see, attendance of people needing the identification number is low-key. Sources from the management said the booking system is very difficult for them because people hardly cooperate with the booking system. Apart from denying Nigerians the use of their SIM cards, blocking unlinked SIMs will also affect the economy of individuals and the nation.
So the government need to look at these issues very critically. It's very important for a country to have a national database. It's very important that the government is in control of what the citizen does, particularly communication, which is critical now to peace, to security, and that the security agencies need this database to actually work on the spread of insecurity and to track the activities of criminals.
Though Nigerians have up to middle of February to update their SIMs, more awareness is needed on the importance of the identification number.
We want to do it haphazardly to say that deadlines are given and people must enroll. If people must enroll before a particular deadline, then the government must also ensure that there exists enough infrastructure, enough facilities, enough manpower to ensure effective coverage of the citizens who are ready to get enrolled.
With 18 out of 27 registration centers working in Sokoto State, the introduction of the data ecosystem project will help by decongesting most of the centers and by extension registering more Nigerians. In Sokoto, Show Muhammad Dati reporting for Deadline 360.
Minister of Communications and Digital Economy gave directive for the suspension of some officials of the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, recently following allegations of extortion. It appears that some bad eggs among the officials are unrelenting in this act, as Benson Osadebe reports that the process in Aba is characterized by irregularities ranging from clumsy data capture process to allegations of extortion.
Allegations of extortion is currently trailing the ongoing compulsory national identity number registration in Aba, though the management of National Identity Management Commission here in Aba have refused to speak to NTA. What is more worrisome is the level of overcrowding in the area, which calls for concern as regards the fight against COVID-19. Let's hear from one of those that came here to register.
I was here last week Monday for this form, but I couldn't pick the form that day, so I came back the next day. When I got the form, I have to fill it and come back on Monday. When I came on Monday, they asked me to submit the form and come back today for the capturing. When I came this morning, they said I should go back and come back next week Monday for the capturing. I just don't understand what this exercise is like. So I'm so tired, and I'll be going back to school next week, so I need to do this national ID card today.
In most registration centers visited, some respondents complain of slow pace of the exercise and alleged extortion.
And they collect money, 3,000, they collect money, they give the form, and they collect money to submit the form again. They collected 1,000 naira from me and my wife, 2,000 for the form only. After the form, after filling the form, we go in, we collect except 1,000 each person.
Investigation reveals that a major challenge bedeviling the exercise is non-availability of facilities to cater for the remaining number of Nigerians yet to register.
But I've been here since 4th of January. They used to sell it from 2000, but after they said no, you are still here. You will be here, somebody who pay more than you enter there, you will be sitting here all the day, doing nothing. At the end of the day, you don't achieve anything. You didn't do your business, you didn't achieve your national ID card also.
Taking cognizance of some of the challenges facing the exercise, the need for more funding from both the federal government and some international non-governmental organizations, such as World Bank, to enable the Commission localize the registration centers and acquire more facilities, came to the fore. To achieve better results, some respondents canvassed for a synergy among sister agencies to work out a central system where registered data could be collated for the purpose of identity registration. In Aba, Benson Osadebe for Deadline 360.
And in Maiduguri, state government and private sector interventions are beginning to ease the process for enrollees. Mimuna Garba reports that the state government has procured 108 enrollment systems and also recruited 135 ad hoc staff to this effect.
Following Governor Babagana Omara Zulum's visit to Office of National Identity Management Commission in December 2020, where he observed the hardship faced by residents, decided to intervene in order to ensure all Borno citizenry are duly registered. To this end, the governor also directed the opening of 28 additional centers to ease the hardship. Currently, NIMC office in Maiduguri is offering skeletal services until the enrollment systems already procured by the governor are fully equipped in all the newly created centers to enable the ad hoc staff work effectively.
The committee set up by the state government, which comprises of Commissioner for Science and Technology and NIMC staff, we sat down and met. We were able to come up with booking system that will at least work out for the project for everybody to be registered. The federal government has contracted some companies that are in this business of capturing data. Two of the companies visited me, and yesterday one called me. He's coming with his mobile kits, which they are to go to the IDP camps and register all the IDPs.
Some NIN enrollees who affirmed the importance of the registration commended the federal government initiative.
National identification number, it is a veritable tool. It is all-encompassing. It's all about integrating all the legacy databases into one. Hence, without your national identification number, you will not have access to benefiting benefits and rights, social inclusion.
It shows that you are a citizen of Nigeria, and this shows that everyone that is not linked with his SIM card he gonna have a problem on it.
According to NIMSI, the data ecosystem project, which other agencies and private players will help in the exercise, have their mobile kits where people at the grassroots will be followed to be registered. For Deadline 360, Maimuna Garba.
From Maiduguri, we go to Port Harcourt, where Jenny Bassi says hundreds of enrollees are overlooking the risk of contracting COVID-19 and have besieged centers located at Aba Road, Port Harcourt. She reports that information and communications technology experts in River State have identified efficient data protection laws as pivotal to the harmonization of the ongoing identification enrollment of Nigerian citizens.
To overcome the challenge of huge demands for the National Identification Number NIN, with large crowds visiting National Identity Management Commission office, the Commission adopted a booking system for enrollment. This is part of measures to contain the spread of coronavirus while ensuring its service to Nigerians is not entirely interrupted. Mindful of the second wave of COVID-19, how has the booking system fared?
The database now which they have already, now improve on it and create a link. With that link now, make that available to different persons. They even need an app, just a link. So once you're on that link, just open the link with your Android phone or any of the phone. Then once you open the link, you just fill your information and send it back to the database. And once it's captured, they give you the feedback.
If you do a collaboration with telecom companies who have a more robust IT system, you generate a code where you are required to simply key in your NIN number as generated. Then a certificate or the paper aspect is generated for you. Then you print it.
The federal government, in a bid to provide valuable information for national development, harped on the need for data to be collected for effective implementation of development plans. Unfortunately, the process, residents say, is rigorous and appeal to government and relevant authorities to make the exercise flexible.
Since 4 a.m. people have been here. No food, no water, people are suffering. And the crowd is more because they say that it's COVID-19 and we are going through hell here.
The networks are too poor and they're not enough system to serve us.
They are bringing us out again. At many centers, people can go and register. They have a collection center where they collect everything.
It's necessary for me, for my line to be on.
Efforts to talk to officials of the commission proved abortive as NTA was not allowed access to the office. For Deadline 360, I am Jenny Bassi.
From going around and about, we return to Abuja. Here, the National Identity Management Commission, NIMSI, just recently shut its doors to enrollment activities at the headquarters. And as a replacement, has reactivated 20 centers within the FCT to make the process easier. Sophia Norma Uche reports that the enrollees are not giving up despite the directive.
To make the processes of enrollment of national identity number easier and safer in the midst of second wave of coronavirus, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy has approved the closure of enrollment activities at NIMSI and activated 20 centers in the FCT. Some of the centers include State Office and Area Council offices of Abaji, Amak, Buari, Gwagwalada, Kwali and Kuje. A visit to the NIMC office, however, showed a large crowd of people seeking attention and had this to say.
And my major problem is that this thing is not supposed to expire. It's a national ID card. Only for me to discover there's an expiring date.
Some people went to some places and they still came back here, meet us here. Like Zone 3 and then they say Ibro Hotel.
So luckily last week I was able to do capture. They said we should come like today and get the printout. So we come here now, they're telling us that they have been shut down, that there are no work.
NTA News also visited one of the centers situated at Ibro Hotel, Zone 5. We gathered this.
The ambulance is 5 o'clock in the morning. So they say we should queue. They say we should queue the line. From there, they would direct us to another.
They no agree to for me. I just they beg them. They not even allow me to talk with themselves. I don't tire for this thing. See, my baby is crying.
They are collecting bribe from people that have money, that have car. They'll take them in and do it with them 5,000 above. We that don't have anything, they don't want to do the national ID card for us.
Majority of the people are calling for extension and for government to look into the process of the exercise for it to be coordinated in more orderly and civilized manner. For Deadline 360, Safia Al-Noma Uchi.
As the deadline approaches, it is important that we all do the needful. We must, however, prioritize safety. Remember, coronavirus is ravaging. On behalf of the production crew, I say thank you for your company. Please stay safe.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
NTA News. When the news breaks, we mend it and present it without blemish. NTA News, authentic and authoritative.
It's my pleasure to welcome you to the program tonight. I am Omini Odan. The Federal Inland Revenue Service is holding the first national tax dialogue in Nigeria in line with the decision of its executive chairman, Muhammad Nami, to reposition the organization to serve Nigeria better and improve the revenue base of the country for better service delivery for public good. The Finance Act 2020 has given the Federal Inland Revenue Service the room to amend or repeal or even add to some provisions as it relates to the Companies Income Act, Value-Added Tax, Customs, among others. The implementation of the Finance Act 2020 will be a major litmus test that will shape the policies that will guide the budget in 2021. But understanding the Finance Act 2020 and stakeholders owning the Act will define how fast the 2021 budget can be achieved in all sectors. Tonight, on NTA Dutse Live, we shall be looking at strategies to raise the revenue profile of the country, what the first national dialogue tends to achieve, the Finance Act 2020, and what it entails, among other issues. But first, let's have this background report put together by Benny Adams. Audio, please.
Been working as a mobile phone software installer for many years and makes good money from his clients, but has never paid a dime as tax. Not because he does not want to, but because he has no idea how to go about it or where to start from. On the other hand, Abubakar Akwanga has been on government payroll for more than 10 years. Before he receives his monthly pay, about 15,000 naira is deducted as tax. Like Chris Eze, there are many Nigerians in the informal sector of the economy who don't pay tax. But that is about to change as the FIRS is employing technology for tax receipts.
What we are doing now is to consolidate our data-centric program to be able to identify them fully into the nature of their business and bring them properly into tax rate.
The empowerment from the Finance Act 2020 in terms of automation for us, which that is to say the law now makes it mandatory for people to key into whatsoever we have provided. We want to leverage on that to go the way of several other countries. In fact, many of them even around us that unfortunately we have to learn of some of the small countries. In these countries now, if the so-called underground sector, informal sector, they find it very difficult to evade tax. And what makes that possible is what we call fiscalization. Fiscalization is about ensuring that no business owner, whether small or big, issues an invoice that is not a government invoice. So this government invoice is coded.
The effects of COVID-19 disruptions on businesses and dropping oil prices, in addition to the aftermath of NSAS protests, which forced the service to grant tax waivers to small companies. The service still recorded a non-oil tax collection of 109% in 2020, which is 9% higher than the previous year. The success he attributed to a number of reforms, which include capacity building for staff, improved staff welfare, and deployment of appropriate technology for tax operations. Though no target has been set in 2021, Nami expressed optimism that the new year will be better, with expected exploration activities in the oil and gas sector. Finance, PENCOM, mobile networks, and NLNG are sectors that improve the revenue drive of the FIRS. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
Reposition the Federal Inland Revenue Service and significance of the Finance Act 2020 is a focus tonight on the program. You can be part of the program tonight through our phone number, which shall be displayed in the course of the program, and also join the conversation via our Twitter handle at Dutse Live NTA. And please, if you're through to you through the phone call, turn down the volume of your television set to avoid the hallback. And also, the use of language is very, very important here. Be polite, and also your issues will be addressed. Don't rigmarole, go straight to the point when we get to you through your phone call. Tonight, I'm being joined via Zoom by the Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Muhammad Nami. Chairman, good to have you on the program.
Good evening, my brother. Happy New Year to you, your family, and Happy New Year to Nigerians.
I'm being joined by the Coordinating Director General Services Group, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Head Office, Abuja, Innocent Ohawa. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Matthew Ojibola, Director, Tax Policy and Advisory, Federal Inland Revenue Service, is joining us via Zoom in Abuja. Good to have you on the program tonight. And in the studio, we have Dr. Asheik Meidugu, Coordinating Director, Digital Support Group, Federal Inland Revenue Service. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Chairman, let's begin with you. Before I take on the chairman, in the course of the program, we have a couple of reports dotting the landscape of the country. Tonight, we shall be going to Lagos, Kaduna, Enugu, Jos, Bauchi, Port Harcourt, and Southwest, also Ibadan. Mr. Chairman, let's begin by saying congratulations to you as you mark your 1 year in office as the Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service. How has it been being on the saddle for 1 year?
Thank you very much for having us once more. And thank you for congratulating us as a team. We were here exactly 1 year ago to talk to you after we were appointed by President Muhammadu Buhari to manage the affairs of the Federal Inland Revenue for a period of 4 years. At that particular point in time, we unveiled 1 or 2 programs that we intend to do, and that is what we've been doing since we came on board last year. And so far, so good. We'll be working like a team at FRS. I'm looking, like I've always said, at any given point in time to speak to people that I'm so lucky to have been appointed chairman of FRS, and I was even much lucky in terms of the human capital I met on ground. The very qualitative, competent, and hardworking public servants that are there for you at every given point in time. When you give them a call, they are there. When you set up a Zoom meeting midnight, they are already there to talk to you. They don't know weekend, they don't know public holidays. We are there, so working day in, day out. You can this can be summarized, or better put, when you look at the sacrifice they made during the lockdown in April last year. I can assure you that was never a day we stopped going to office. At a particular point in time, the revenues were even generated during the lockdown because of the commitment of the competent team was somehow even higher than what was generated in the same period of 2019. So I can assure you, I have no cause whatsoever to complain. Rather, I should give gratitude to God that I was appointed as chairman, and that I have these competent people around me. Those people that were, these guys that are willing to make sacrifice to work for this country at any given point in time that they are asked to come up to do something for this country. That is just what I would say at this moment, but so far, so good.
Still on you, quickly, from what the testimonies you have given, would you say this has contributed to what you achieved last year? For instance, out of 5.7 trillion naira tax revenue set for the Federal Inland Revenue Service last year, 4.9 trillion was generated, representing 98%. And we hear the previous year, before last year, it was far less. But one will ask, why did it improve despite the challenge of the global pandemic?
Like I said before, what we did was to invest in staff and the investment was first of all to trust them and that they can deliver. From the background interaction I had, I had you having with some of my team members. What we just did was to say, okay, for you to be able to perform better, we feel let's give you in the first place the service back to you. What we did at that point in time was to say the core functions of the service that were intact earlier, outsourced to consultant. I would take the functions from those consultants and give them back to you. That was the first step we took, and that was the first press the press conference I had on the assumption of office, and that is exactly what we did. So that is the first step we took. The second step we took also was that there were certain staff that were in certain training school, even those that are non-existent, and those staff are seniors, civil public servants that are well trained, and their experience and those things were abandoned, and they were kept at training schools that were virtually, you can just say, we are not just there. So what we did was to rehabilitate those staff and integrate them back to the system. We transferred them from the training school to the operations, to audit functions and those things, and place them appropriately. So what we also did was to take, like I said, to take staff welfare seriously. So what we did sometimes with the board in around October was to embark on 2 years promotion exam. That was done in order to be able to enhance their productivity, and to also we pay them promptly their statutory allowances, such as the key performance indicators, subsistence allowance, and some others. What we also did to motivate them was that we provided them working tools and office equipment to build their capacity. We deploy appropriate technology and all this. So we've taken up this measure, and we earned their trust, and they felt challenged, and they now realize that they've not got option other than to deliver, and that is why they went extra mile to support the current manager and the board of the board management and management of FRS, that despite the COVID-19, the impact it has had on the oil and gas sector, despite the fact that the Nigerian economy was under key and lock for like 3-4 months, despite the fact that the price of petroleum product was selling below, the petroleum product was selling below the production cost, we were able to achieve 98% of our target, which is just some 200 billion below what was obtained or what was generated by the same service in the year 2019, when there was never a time that there was a lockdown, there was never NSAS protest, there was never a day that Nigeria stopped exporting crude oil and it was earning hard currencies in return.
Now listen, on the program tonight, just one question. One program dear to your heart is the first National Tax Dialogue. What informed this, and what really does this entail that you have put in the front burner?
The National Tax Dialogue is put together in order for us to be able to bring together world-class professionals in every field of our human endeavor to see what they can do to borrow us from the wealth of their experience, their knowledge about taxation. You can be a professor in tax, you can be a chartered accountant, you can be a chartered tax practitioner, but you alone cannot do it based on the little knowledge you have. So what we have decided to do, let's bring the best of brains, or the best, the experienced people in the country together. People from the Africa continent, including at ETAF level, and UN and Africa Development Bank. Let's share in their experience what they understand is done in the various environment they operate on. Let them tell us what we are doing right. Let them equally tell us where we are getting things wrong, so that we can use the experience we are going to, the experience that they are going to share with us. We can use it to now come up with a strategy on how to reposition, and not just FRS, but tax administration in Nigeria, in order to address issues of budget funding gap that Nigeria has been battling with for a long time. You realize that before now, and in 2019, 2020, and even in this year's budget, the projection, because of the low or the dwindling fortune in the oil sector, and the dwindling oil revenue that we expect in the current year and what we got last year, government continue to borrow money to even pay salaries. So what we feel we should do, let's come together, talk like family of people that have economic, some people with investment background, some people are educationists, some people are research experts. Let them come and share their experience with us, so that we see what we can do to minimize. I think there's never a country in the whole world that does not borrow money to fund its budgetary requirement. Does not borrow money to do one thing or the other capital operation. But what do we do to minimize this? So the experience we are going to get, the knowledge they are going to share with us, we are going to document and to see what we can do to help government in generating more revenue for funding its budgetary requirement going forward.
For now, we'll come back to you, Mr. Chairman. Quickly, I hear our other guests from Zoom, via Zoom, Matthew Bojumbola, Director, Tax Policy and Advisory, Federal Inland Revenue, has joined us now. Good to see you on the program tonight. Okay, it looks the signal is not ready yet. But quickly, let me go to Innocent Ohagwa. Of what use, of what significance will the Finance Act 2020 have in repositioning the revenue base of the country?
Very, a lot. Because it gives to the taxpayers, also give to the tax administration. So the essence that before now, we found out that some aspects of the tax laws are not clear. There are gaps. So, but the Finance Act 2020 have provided, closure to those gaps. So the implication is that compliance level will increase, collections will also increase. There's also a lot of reliefs on the part of the taxpayers, like those who are earning below minimum wage or minimum wage will have nothing to pay. And areas that have been subject of controversy in VAT or company income tax, we found out that the Finance Act substantially addresses the issues. And the overall implication is that if there is an improved compliance, if there is easy understanding of the tax law, it even gave the service the opportunity to design forms of returns for micro and small tax payers. Hitherto, The requirement under Section 55 on filing returns is very cumbrous for small taxpayers. So there are a lot, without going into specific, the Director of Tax Policy will take them into details. But in generic terms, can say that the Finance Act provides a better platform for increased performance, increased compliance, understanding of the tax law, and is going to increase collection going forward.
Okay. Dr. Ashek, let's go to you. Now, the concern, which looks like magic to those of us who are not tax experts, is that the Finance Act 2020 introduced changes to various tax regimes in Nigeria, including income tax, individual or personal income tax, capital gains, customs and excise, as well as stamp duty, among others I cannot mention. Yeah. Now, the question is, at a period where people think there's dwindling revenue, why will we have this kind of adjustments when we thought it should rather be increased?
Well, thank you. You know, the Finance Act actually gives us the opportunity to enhance tax administration in the first place, and at the same time bring about clarity in policy. Now, in an economy like ours, where the small and medium scale enterprises are considered as engine of growth. Generally, in most economies, the small and medium scale industries are regarded as engine of growth. Now, we cannot operate in an island. We don't operate in an island, and as an economy, it is part of policy to see how you can grow the small and medium scale industries so that they can grow and then employ more workers, generate revenue, and also pay taxes. So there are specific provisions in the Finance Act 2020 that are geared towards encouraging the growth and development of our micro and small enterprises. In specific terms, for example, the issue of payment of minimum tax, the Finance 2020, the Finance Act 2020 has reduced the minimum tax that is to be paid by, the small and medium companies from 0.5% to 0.25%, with the aim of encouraging them, for them to grow, develop, so that they can employ more workers. When they employ more workers, they will produce more. When they produce more, it is expected that they will get more profit, and at the same time, in the long run, pay higher taxes. So it is all about encouraging. So rather than increasing taxes, the policy on the part of the government is to reduce taxes, because studies have shown that in most countries where reforms takes place, it is not about increasing tax rates. It is about reducing rates, broadening the tax base, and at the same time, improving compliance. And finally, you come up with strict enforcement procedures. Okay. So basically, we believe as a service that rather than increasing rates and then putting more burden on the taxpayer, it is part of government policy to actually reduce rates, encourage these small and medium enterprises to stabilize, based on our experience with COVID and how, with the disruptions in production of goods and services. So government has come with these provisions so that these rates will be reduced for them to stabilize, and then come out from the effects of COVID, related disruptions, so that these small and medium scale industries can grow and then mature and then pay taxes. So that is the principle, that is the policy on the part of government. And it is done in most countries that have gone through a series of reforms.
Okay, we just hope that the Director of Tax Policy is up now. If it's up, let us know. If it's not up, let me go back to Ohagwa before we go to the chairman. When there's a policy of this magnitude, you are dealing with a huge or an avalanche of publics. If the publics you're dealing with are not properly mainstreamed, enlightened, how will it work?
Yes. You can see that even in Klein, there is always what we call taxpayer education. Consistent, media advertisement, programs that are geared as explaining, these issues, even not only the service, both the services at the states, at the federal, and even professional institutes, CITN and others, even professional firms. Each time, there is always engagement to ensure that, these informations are passed to the grassroots, to all levels of manners.
Is that on now?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We do. The exercise we are doing now is also enlightenment, to provide information. And again, you find out that this Finance Act will undergo a lot of discussion, robust discussions. And as it is being discussed and cascaded at various levels, you find out that every party that is involved, will definitely find it very, very useful.
Okay. Well, I hear the coordinating director and enforcement support group of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Ezra Zubeiru, is up now. Good to see you on Tuesday Live tonight. My question to you basically is, you are in charge of enforcement, and if the Finance Act 2026 to harmonize the tax system and reform other issues across tax governance in Nigeria, those who should know, are they aware? And if they are not aware, what plans are you making to educate them so that it will become a one-stop implementation?
Thank you very much. You see, issues relating to awareness, like my other colleague, Mr. Ohagwa, did mention, is a journey. It's not as if it is a one-stop activity. And what we try to do, we try to engage all the relevant stakeholders, the taxpayers, we engage the government, who are the stakeholders, we engage tax practitioners, even among ourselves. And we hold sessions at the office level, office to office, where these taxpayers are. We try to enlighten them. We also have what we call tax education programs, which he has earlier mentioned. And we're also coming up with tax assistance, taxpayer assistance, more especially the micro and small businesses that I understand are over 37 million within the country. So we try to reach out to all of these various segments, and we continue to enlighten them through the media, through other fora that we have and every opportunity, and even on a one-on-one basis, as we interact with taxpayers, we continue to reach out to these taxpayers. And we also have paid adverts in print and electronic media, online media. We try to reach out to all of these very taxpayers in respect of the basic requirements that these taxpayers are required. So it helps greatly to enlighten the taxpayers, it helps the taxpayers, it helps to make them understand their basic obligation in respect of filing of registering for tax purposes and remitting their taxes. So all of this put together will help, and we will continue to do it. It's not going to be a one-off enlightenment program. We'll continue to reach out to them as much as possible and to ensure that they understand the basis in which they are supposed to file their returns and do all their compliance obligations.
I could see Matthew Bojumbula on set, Director Tax Policy and Advisory, and if you can hear me quickly to you, tax governance in Nigeria falls within the concurrent list, and clearly we still have cases of multiple taxation. And if a policy like this is in place, what is the Federal Inland Revenue Service doing to erode multiple taxation and properly mainstream the governance process?
Moderator, when we talk about multiple taxation, we must be, first of all, careful to understand that Nigeria is a federation with 38 tax authorities, of which the Federal Inland Revenue Service is one. There are tax authorities in the 36 states, and there is one in the Federal Capital Territory. And all of these tax authorities are recognized by law and also have roles assigned to them under the law. And each of them are within the context of the Constitution is allowed government at each level, federal, state, including local government, and there are 774 of them, are allowed to raise revenue by way of taxes. And so when we therefore talk about multiplicity of taxation or multiple taxes, we must be careful to situate that within the federal context. Howbeit, there are jurisdictions that have federations like ours, and the way they have been able to manage issues of multiple taxation is to unify the tax administration. But you will agree with me that this is a difficult proposition in Nigeria under the current political climate. Hopefully sometime we'll be able to get there, whereby we could have unified tax authority servicing the federal, state, and local governments. Now, coming to what is being done or what can be done to manage the situation, we have the Taxes and Levies Act, which was promulgated by way of decree in the early 1990s, and specifies what taxes can be collected by the Federal Inland Revenue Service and what states could collect and what local governments could collect. We also are aware that some states have enacted laws to collect some other taxes. But then the federal government or the Federal Revenue Service specifically have no role, have no hand in those legislations, and therefore is not able to control them. I think this matter will have to be taken up from the perspective of the Constitution, the National Assembly, the state assemblies, the National Economic Council, where the governors are represented. This is the place where these issues can be resolved. But at the federal level, there are no issues of multiplicity of taxes. There are only income taxes, companies income tax, value-added tax, stamp duties, capital gains tax, all of which are enshrined in the laws enacted by the National Assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's go to the chairman, executive chairman, right away. Executive chairman, before we take our line of reports, just to put clarification to these. Sometime before now, we had a Nigerian who came in from the States. He ran an NGO, and being somebody who understands, who has the culture of paying tax, after setting up his company, he made moves to pay his tax. And he was asking, what tax do I pay? Where do I pay my tax? And people were surprised. They thought he has gone nuts. We still find Nigerians who are yet to imbibe and wear the toga of a true tax culture, where you wake up without even seeing maybe the director of tax policy or the director of enforcement. You walk up to a tax office to pay your tax. I know you talked about the national dialogue, what you aim to achieve. So what are we doing towards this direction to ensure that Nigerians as a whole see reasons to pay tax, as much as this policy is going to be human friendly, has a human face? We will still have cases where people, organizations, companies, individuals who want to evade tax and other corrupt tendencies. What plans do you have to ward off this?
It's all about taxpayer education that you have been discussing with my colleagues, Mr. Ogwa and Ezra Zubero. Before now, as a citizen or as taxpayers or people, we continue to think that we are very rich a nation. Maybe by the time I bring that to here, Nigerians will begin to appreciate that it's not likely to be true that we are very rich people as a country. When you have an economy that is dependent on one product, that is the feeling that people will continue to have. But with the shock of this pandemic that caught everybody unaware, we all have discovered now that Nigeria may not necessarily be as rich as we hitherto think. Having said that, the tax payment culture in this country is actually very low, but it's not to say that it's not there, because if it's not there, we wouldn't have been able to discuss what we're discussing today. Number two, to bring to the attention of Nigerians that it actually pays to pay taxes. The reason being, it is the truth, this monies that people pay, patriotic Nigerians pay as taxes, that government is able to pay even salaries to workers. It is through this money that government is able to provide social services to the citizens, provide amenities that the citizens require. If you also go by the statistics of recent and probably from the second quarter of the year 2020, that the pandemic became very severe, that at a particular point in time we produced oil, but the off-takers were not there to buy. We suddenly realized that when the three tiers of government, the local government, state, and the federal government meet in Abuja for their monthly FAC meeting, the total amount of money available to them, probably if it's 100%, we suddenly realize that out of this 100%, between 60 and 70% on a monthly basis became what FIRS was contributing, which is taxpayers' money. So, having given you this background, there is the need for Nigerians to continue to have a rethink that paying taxes is not a choice, but is a statutory obligation that without it, we are not able to, that government will not be able to provide the social amenities, the infrastructures the citizens require for purpose of doing business, for purpose of transporting their goods, for purpose of the funds the federal government will require for purpose of fighting insecurity, the funds the government will require for purpose of providing healthcare delivery to the citizens. So the key message we have for Nigerians at every given point in time, we also discuss that it's not the payment of taxes that payment of taxes based on the profit that citizens made that we're talking about, but it is also a responsibility of somebody who or do business in this country, in this fiscal space called Nigeria, to also act as agent of indirect taxes, collection of indirect taxes, and remitting them as and when due, so that the government will always be buoyant enough to be able to build to cater for some of these things that I've listed. So payment of taxes is not a choice; it's a statutory obligation, because without this tax revenue, there will be so much issues for government to cater for.
We'll come back to you. It's time to take our reports, and like we said, our first report tonight is coming from Lagos.
As a nation that mostly relies on oil as major source of revenue generation for the implementation of capital and recurrent expenditure in the budget, the country's budget performance has never met the expectations of Nigerians with regards to infrastructural development. The federal government's intention towards a paradigm shift from a low revenue performing budget to a more responsive financial statement resting its shoulders on internally generated revenue prompted the review of policies and effective monitoring of tax payments in order to deliver on its promises. The reviewed policies, however, responded positively in 2020 as the Federal Inland Revenue Service generated almost 70% of the nation's expenditure despite the pandemic that slowed down economic activities globally.
The palliative measures for taxpayers. And do you know, with that introduction, a lot of taxpayers came to pay because of the outstanding liabilities, that penalty and interest were waived, and it was publicized. Everybody just took advantage and they came paying. That gave us close to 5 trillion collection as at the end of last year.
With an improved system of tax payment introduced by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, including automation process, e-filing, and decentralization of auditing system, more taxpayers are brought into the tax net, thereby growing the nation's revenue base.
The money earlier stolen from government by various organizations, especially the multinationals, some multinationals, not all of them, some multinationals, as well as big corporate organizations, they run into trillions of naira.
While all efforts are being intensified to widen Nigeria's tax net and cut down on tax invaders, the urgent need to address the 6% tax to GDP ratio is also mentioned.
We take the next report from Kaduna.
Tax administration in Nigeria is carried out by 3 tiers of government: federal, state, and local governments through the machinery set up at the respective levels of government. Though the provisions of the 2020 Financial Act have significantly increased government revenue by increasing VAT to 7.5% from 5%, capital gains tax, and stamp duty, among others, The dwindling oil revenue on account of coronavirus pandemic requires enhanced tax collection to finance deficit in budget.
In 2020, the expectation was that the revenue is going to dwindle significantly because of the novel coronavirus. But what we saw in 2020 was actually surprising, because for us here in Kaduna State, we've actually surpassed even the target given to us despite the lockdown.
The taxation is a difficult thing. Everybody will avoid tax if he has a chance. And for the government to ensure that more people comply, they should make sure that the funds that are realized are used for social benefit that people can see.
The Tax Codification and Consolidation Law enacted by Kaduna State House of Assembly enabled the State Internal Revenue Service to introduce e-platforms of tax collection to block leakages, enhance transparency and accountability. The consensus among stakeholders is that effective public education on tax matters will make many prospective taxpayers to comply and enhance revenue for government to provide good governance.
Enugu is our next stop.
Over the years, the nation's economy has contended with low domestic revenue mobilization with its attendant negative implication. This, among all the reasons, necessitated the establishment of the new Finance Act signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari. The whole idea is to boost revenue generation through effective taxation and curb leakages in the system. The provisions contained in the Finance Act 2020 are intended to encourage economic activities, stimulate gross domestic product (GDP) growth, and facilitate increase in the revenue generation of the country. The Act also seeks to boost small and medium-scale enterprises by reducing their tax burden.
The implementation, if well undertaken, will go a long way, because the Finance Act is mainly to upgrade the small and medium enterprises, of which a good number of our youths who don't have any other job are now getting into through scale acquisition. So if well implemented to the letter, I believe all things being well, other economic variable harmonizing, the country will have to gain something economically.
Some taxpayers say that the Act is a welcome development, as it will exempt low-income earners earning minimum wage or less from personal income tax, among all the benefits.
It's a good idea, internal generation of fund.
It was also the view of some respondents that the Finance Act 2020 will fast-track development, especially with the reduction of import duty on tractors from 35% to 5%, as well as exemption of commercial airline tickets from VAT, among others.
And the last report of this segment is coming from Jos, Plateau State.
One of the responsibilities of government is to provide infrastructure for the comfort of its citizenry. With limited resources, this dream can be realized with tax to take care of public expenditure. Tax administration in Nigeria is vested in the 3 tiers of government: federal, state, and local government, while the Internal Revenue Service has continued to boost the nation's revenue profile.
As a revenue generation organization, FIRS has been trying to always find a way of pushing up, expanding the tax base, and generating more income for the government.
You can see a lot of reforms within the tax administration, seeing to the fact that it has an impact on individuals, on people, on businesses. One of the key things that we're trying to do as a country is to see how first get all the the taxable activities, the taxable sectors.
Tax on goods, income, or personal property stimulates desired economic growth, while compliance with tax laws keep the system working. However, one way to encourage compliance is to make the rules simple and clear to avoid evasion, corruption, and less investment.
If you are going to maintain the taxes, do a lot more with the money that you get, that you generate. Internal generated revenue and what have you, you should plow them back into the productive sector, the real sector, those that are into production.
Stakeholders note that economies with simple and well-designed tax system boost businesses, investments, and employment for sustainable growth.
Repositioning the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the significance of the Finance Act 2020 is the focus tonight. Our lines are open. You can put to your phone and we'll pick your call and address your issues. Also, you can be part of the conversation tonight through our Twitter handle at Tuesday Live NTA. A couple of tweets have come in. I'll take that to the Director of Task Policy. Before then, let me take on Dr. Maidugu. You are the coordinating director of Digital Support Group. And what we are discussing here, technology is key to what we are discussing here. Globally, it is no news anymore to know that technology has really enhanced tax governance in the world. Yeah. So with all this in place, what are those things in place you're doing to ensure that we're in sync with the dream and vision of the executive chairman to drive tax governance in Nigeria?
Thank you. This is it's a very important area that when the executive chairman came on board, one of his cardinal objective was to drive the use of technology in tax administration. Now, studies have shown that with innovation and the use of disruptive technology, tax administrations, for them to effectively and efficiently collect revenues, must imbibe and put in place the required technology, appropriate technology, that will meet the challenges of the day. We at the Federal Revenue Service have taken this responsibility, and it might interest our viewers to note that during the lockdown and in conformity with the directives of the NCDC, our staff were, directed to work from home. And by working from home, then it means there must be the technology for them to work from home. And so we have our e-service platforms in the service. So we have revamped them, we have strengthened them. So a taxpayer from the comfort of his home, comfort of his office, can file his returns. He can make payments. He can generate his tax clearance certificate. He can generate his receipt. So with this technology, we have made it so simple for the taxpayer that he doesn't need to come to the tax office. So the use of technology has improved our efficiency. So even though we are not physically in the office during the lockdown, in conformity with the protocols given by the NCDC, but with the use of appropriate technology, we collected what we collected 4.9 trillion naira, which is 78%. So as a service going forward, we intend to work with all our stakeholders to have interface with our critical stakeholders. The Corporate Affairs Commission, we have an interface with them, because once a company is registered, a TIN is generated, that comes to us, and then we assign it to a specific tax office where the file will be domiciled. Then we also have an interface with customs, because they are also a critical stakeholder. They collect the import VAT, and as such, we have an interface, so there is a visibility that we can see the VAT component. It will also interest our viewers to note that with use of appropriate technology now, we have interface with most of the prominent retail outlets in this country. As you go into any of these retail outlets and you make your purchases, the VAT component will be visible to us, so that any purchase, any vatable good or services that you consume, at the end of the month, we do reconcile with these retail outlets, and then the appropriate VAT rate is remitted to the service. So through the use of technology, we're able to have visibility. We also have interface and close working relationship with all the payment gateways, the NIMS, the e-Transacts, the Remitter, the GMIS platform. So all the contractors, the withholding tax and VAT automatically directed by the Office of the Accountant General, and these monies come directly to us. And it goes to, when I say us, it goes to the government coffers directly. So with the use of appropriate technology, we are trying as much as possible to collect all that is due for government, and we hope that this reform will continue so that more grounds will be covered in due course.
Okay, it is one thing to just walk to the auto stand and purchase a car. What happens after then? You expect the car to run seamlessly all year round. What safeguards do you have in place? Technology is sweet, but we hear stories of hacking. As strategic as Federal Inland Revenue Service is, what safeguard do you have in place to avoid this?
Well, this is also another very important question. As we use technology, we are also mindful of the fact of the dangers inherent in the use of technology. Taxpayers' records, we keep them in confidentiality. They are very sensitive records. And as a service, we are working with, for instance, with NIDA to put in place firewalls and other, to cope cybersecurity, cybercrime, and so we are putting all the security measures that are required. So far, so good. We didn't have any experience of our website, our intranet being hacked, because we have put in place different measures to ensure that we provide the adequate security that is needed to protect our e-services, our payments, our e-services, the e-services that we render.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we take our first break, let's go to, I have to appeal to Zubeiru and Ohagwa to give me some time. Let's go to the Director, Tax Policy and Advisory. I want to take this tweet. There's a tweet here coming from Adlawal Alpha, and it says, despite the Treasury single account strategy embarked upon by the federal government to ameliorate leakages of funds by corrupt officials and under taxation by companies, it is mind-blowing that government can't finance its budget without borrowing heavily. How do you react to this?
The person who has the question. Government all over the world that have the duty to provide public goods and services have increasingly, in recent times, come under pressure for revenue. And this is because the sophistication of society means that more and more investment is required to be able to satisfy modern society. The great economies that we have in the world today, the largest economy is the United States, followed by China. And then the developed one, the G7 economies, the United Kingdom, Germany, Japan. When you look at all of them, they are also heavily indebted nations. And this is because the taxes, the tax revenue that are generated are not sufficient to provide the kind of modern amenities that are required. For example, to construct a 1 kilometer bridge over any body of water requires millions of US dollars. To get a satellite working for you to be able to connect people together with telephones or internet costs millions of US dollars. That is the way the world economy runs. And so that we explain that despite the best effort of government and revenue generating agencies all over the world to generate revenue for their government, they still are not able to generate enough because of the requirement of the society. Just like economists will tell us that our wants are unlimited, but the resources to satisfy them are very, very limited. And so that is the explanation. The Treasury single account had brought a lot of sanity into management of public funds, ensuring that money are not hidden in any secret accounts. And therefore there is clarity, there's transparency, and there is accountability. And that is what the single treasury account has been able to do. As to tax collection is a function of the law. And what the FRS have always been doing is to implement the law clearly, completely, to avoid over-taxation or under-taxation. But I can tell you, anywhere in the world, no government have been able to generate enough revenue from taxes to cater for all public amenities that are required. Thank you very much.
On the break, looking at issues of, is the Federal Inland Revenue still using consultants? What is the function of me as a Nigerian to aid the job of the Federal Inland Revenue, among other issues? Stay with us.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Development Agency of Nigeria is here to help you succeed. SIM-NIN gives you entrepreneurship training that will make your business grow big. It can create access to finance. SIM-NIN can help you prepare a good feasibility study and link you up with the finance institutions that would fund your business. It can also create access to market through local and international trade fairs, opportunity fairs, and exhibitions. SIM-NIN also organizes programs to identify innovative entrepreneurs and promote their business ideas. Contact us at Plot 35, Port Harcourt Crescent, Area 11, Garaki, Abuja, or visit our website www.smidan.gov.ng.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support, yes, by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Coronavirus is real.
steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying tuned. Federal Inland Revenue Service 2020 scorecard is the focus once again. Well, let's go to Ohagwa. So much debate about the use of consultants to drive tax in the country. Why did we stop the use of consultants? Is the Federal Inland Revenue Service still using consultants?
Yes, thank you very much. This is a very good question. In FRS Establishment Act, it was provided that the service could use the services of consultants, but subject to certain conditions. Those conditions are that consultants can be used for training, to provide data, other assistance to the revenue agency, but not to assess, collect, or account. Those are the core responsibilities of the tax administration. Since the inception of this regime wanted to adhere to the provision of the law. So we used consultants for training, but before now it wasn't that. And it was observed that part of the issues that affected the staff morale and that affected productivity of staff, because their job were substantially taken away. And government cannot, after recruiting Nigerians, training them, and then use taxpayers' money to pay them, and then they are rendered redundant. So it's not that use of consultants is not good. It's good in several ways. They provide a high level, technical input to decision making. But the law is very clear as to the extent their usage. So the stoppage of consultants is not for FIRS interest, but for overriding public interest? The law is very clear, and also to ensure that the government does not maintain able-bodied staff, pay them without using them.
Okay.
So, use of consultant is okay for training and consulting purposes, but for tax assessment, for audit, investigation, there are also secrecy the staff of FRS take when they are being recruited to ensure that they maintain confidentiality on the taxpayers' records. When you use a consultant, to carry out that type of exercise, you may invariably be violating that. So, if it happened in the past, the current administration, our chairman is also a consultant. If he is a full trained and practicing consultant. So when he came in, without minding his constituency, he said he will respect what the law says, and he's going to go with what will be in best interest of Nigerians. Okay. So that's the issue.
Okay, let's go to the Director Enforcement Support. Zubairu, now, clearly, I always like using the word, we have connections, we connect to disconnect, and we disconnect to connect. Most times they will say it is the rat in the house that gives way to the rat outside to come in and invade. In enforcement, we hear a lot of stories where in situ member, that is operatives of Federal Inland Revenue Service, aid tax evasion. Files disappear, people don't see their data. What are you doing about this?
Thank you very much. Well, in every organization, you will have situations where there are people who will do the right thing no matter what happens. There are others also who will not do the right thing, no matter the kind of environment they find themselves. And it's it happens in every organization. Now, one of the things the service does, if there is any staff that is found to have breached the provisions of the service in terms of his professional ethics and the oath in which he has taken, there are disciplinary measures that are put in place by the service to deal with such. And then we also have ways in which we monitor the operations of officers who might have breached or who might have caused some infractions of the service in the course of the discharge of their duties. So one of the things that we have been doing, a lot of staff have been sanctioned, some staff who have been caught or found wanting, but it has greatly reduced to the barest minimum in terms of such kind of things happening. Quite a number of staff now are very dedicated to their job, and mind you, since the coming of this regime, staff have been engaged to do their own work. Just like Ohagwa did mention, the aspect of staff being involved in assessment, collection, and accounting for the taxes. So it has been very, very difficult now, and partly because of technology and other measures that are put in place by the management, it's more difficult for staff to engage in unwholesome practice within the service and not be caught. So I will really say that such occurrences are not as common as it used to be. So that is just what I will say that about some of those very challenges that you just did mention. Thank you.
Still on you, I'm not done with you yet. Still on you, please. What about, are there available sanctions for your clients, that is members of the public, who attempt this? And are they still doing it? How do you sanction them when you discover it?
Those are very straightforward for taxpayers and the public who cause infractions. The major infractions in respect of taxpayers or the public is refusal to register, failure to register for taxes, or issues of underreporting of income, or deliberately underpaying the taxes that is due, or falsifying records, or destroying records, or claiming non-existent allowances. So those are the major infractions, and the service has put in place measures to checkmate all these very infractions by taxpayers and the public in respect of those vices or those infractions.
Let's go to the chairman. Chairman, I've kept you silent for too long. Quickly, quite unfortunate, during the NSAS protest in the country, one of the major targets by the hoodlums, let me put it that in quotes, was Federal Inland Revenue Service offices in the country. What is the state of affairs? Have they been fixed to enhance your operations? If it is not fixed, how will that help shore up revenue generation for the year 2021?
Just like Dr. Ashek Medugum have pointed out to you on our digital infrastructure, I think we would not say that what happened was a target. As a first statement, is not that the FRS offices were targeted. I think the general target was the government institutions that were cited by hoodlums, not the protesters, during the NSTARS protest. And it actually affected our infrastructure, but we've made efforts to fix them. I want to use the opportunity to confirm to you that the first step we took, even when there was no such protest, is that we ensured all our facilities, including the staff. So we have got that as a cushion, so that as soon as this happened, we went back to our insurers to say, this is what has happened. You have to bear good the premium, so that we could fund the repairs at the respective offices. That is one. And you can be rest assured that where the damages were much, we have relocated the office to new properties, though rented, but because of the fact that we were able to manage the little funds we are getting, we've equipped those offices, we've furnished them, and the staff are back working again. And the consolation is that most of these records that were actually tampered with, we have most of them online, and we have them in our archives, maybe through iCloud and all those things. And all we did was just to recall them. In situations where our other equipment were vandalized, we've made effort to already fix them. So just like you said, was technology and the fact that the taxpayer records are intact, we still continue to collect revenue as it should be. I can remember some of the offices in Lagos that were affected. Some of them even got more than the target that were given to them in the year 2020. So there's not much to worry about. The bottom line is that the ugly incident has happened, and just like Nigeria has put it behind them and move forward, we also have decided to forge ahead and continue to serve our taxpayers and continue to generate revenue for the government as it should be.
Still on you, I will not end this program without touching this area. What is the status of the much debated stamp duty?
Let me answer that question by first appreciating Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our supervising minister, Ajazen Ahmed, and the Minister of State and members of the National Tax Policy Implementation Committee, and the Board of FRS, who debated seriously on this issue and came up with certain changes so that, and suggested those changes to National Assembly, who magnanimously, particularly the Senate President and Speaker, House of Representatives, and the Chairman of the House Committee, looked into the issues assiduously and came up with and endorsed the amendment sent in by the executive in order to fix the issues surrounding dispute between FIRS and NIPOS on this stamp duty issue. I want to use this opportunity to confirm to you that with the Finance Act 2020 that was just recently signed by Mr. President on the 31st December 2020, which came into effect on January 1, 2021, the disputes have been addressed. And how was it addressed? The stamp duty on financial transfer between you and me has now been renamed Electronic Money Transfer Levy. The other stamp duty, which is other ad valorem or fixed, that you require at the hasty time for purpose of completing a transaction. The Act also has now said that when FIRS exhausts the over 200 million adhesive stamp that the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting has produced for us, we should now place order for further stamp with NIPOS in order for them to remain also in business. That is on the issue of the dispute that has to do with FIRS and this. And on the other hand, if you look at the Finance Act 2020, the concept, there are certain definitions, that clarification that has to do with VAT on properties or rent, which is no longer to be paid by consumer or the buyers of this property or the tenant. And in its place, we are confident that stamp duty will now be the one that the tenants and the buyers of this asset will be paying. The advantage in this case is that going forward, stamp duty that is as low as 0.78% of the tenant value is what Nigerians will be paying on rent, and not VAT of 7.5% on the same rent. The same thing that has to do with stamping of agreement that has to do with exchange of ownership of property going forward. So why are we emphasizing stamp duty? Stamp duty is a low-hanging fruit for this country. You can bear me witness, like the electronic money transfer, for transactions that you have done today or probably have done within this month. For every transfer you have done from your own account or bank account to your family member, your friends, your business associate, which is more than 10,000 and above, you pay 50 naira for every transaction. So the good news for government is that we do not know yet how much the transaction counts are, but those transactions are enormous, so that government is able to generate more revenue from the stamp duty or the electronic money transfer, and the citizens who are paying, because it's an indirect tax, do not feel the burden of it. And it is also on record that indirect taxes like that are not only too difficult to evade, but are very easy for the tax administrative authorities to administer. So this is the little I will say about the stamp duty.
Well, Federal Inland Revenue Service 2020 scorecard. When we return, we take the next line of reports. The next one beginning with Bauchi.
Past, the year 2020 came out as a calamity year, whereby most companies could not even produce to generate high revenue to maintain their overheads, not to talk of giving tax to the government. So in that regard, government has made some reliefs that alleviate the suffering of the taxpayers, especially the companies. So also when we look at the purchasing power of the Nigerian citizens, it has dropped drastically in consideration of the fact that the COVID-19 has come with a lot of hardships and consumption of goods have become so difficult. So the government decided to relax the payment of value-added tax on consumption of basic necessity goods like food, drugs, and other relevant items.
Everything relies on administration. We have a good national tax policy. We have all the laws in place. They may have their deficiencies here and there, but without good administration, the implementation will be flawed, and we may not achieve the desired result. So at the moment, I can say so far so good, but a lot needs to be done to improve the efficiency of administration.
They also said the current tax system is stimulating desired growth in the country's economy through encouraging local content production, thereby providing employment. The stakeholders, however, advise government at all levels to do more in channeling taxes collected to infrastructural development.
Port Harcourt, Rivers State is our next stop.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service is the federal government's agency saddled with the responsibility of collecting taxes from organizations and individuals in order to fund its budget. Speaking on the agency's tax drive, Tax Controller, Large Taxpayers Office of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Port Harcourt, Amisu Muhammad Ibrahim, says they are making frantic efforts to elicit compliance from taxpayers, and that this move has over time generated billions of naira to the federal government.
The Finance Act 2019, that came also, assisted in convincing the taxpayers that the government is not only interested in getting them to pay by hook or by crook, but is also understanding the situation they are in.
Highlighting the agency's challenges for 2020, he affirmed that the outbreak of the coronavirus affected inflow from states like Rivers, Edo, and Delta, but however noted that they met a significant proportion of their target for the year in question.
Last year it was 268 billion, and we were able to collect 146.2 billion out of it.
On the other hand, an economist from the University of Port Harcourt, Dr. Simeon Nembi, spoke on the significance of taxation and why people feel reluctant to pay their taxes.
65 million Nigerians are economically viable for tax. If you look at the statistics, it does suggest that only 19 out of this. So you have a huge gap of about 46 million were not paid tax. The question is, what is causing people not to pay tax and for FRRC not to be able to reach out to its mandate of about 45? It's very simple. First, people do not believe that paying tax will help them. Equity. People believe that paying tax is not helping them by way of equity.
Sure, they are doing a good job, but the million-dollar question remains whether that money is going to the federal government.
This is as the respondents commended the Finance Act by the present administration and its friendly content, noting that effective implementation will give it more credence.
Our last report tonight on the program is coming from Ibadan.
An important aspect of a country's development process is the building of a social contract in which citizens pay tax and in turn enjoy public infrastructure and social amenities. Moreover, keeping tax rates reasonable encourages the development of the private sector. To this end, what are the impacts of the current tax policies as entrenched in the Finance Act of 2020 on economic growth?
In any developed economy, you want to stimulate the economy. One of the surest ways to do it is to amend the tax laws in such a way that those at the lower category, can be exempted from tax, and those at the top echelon can bear the brunt.
It's a way of alleviating the problem of all these small-scale enterprises. That's a way of
making them be more and more viable in their business.
GDP will increase. It will bring more investors. It will encourage FDI, foreign direct investment. The living standard will improve. There will be employment. If people have more money, if more industries come, there will be employment for people. So generally, Nigeria will be better for it.
A budding entrepreneur, Femi Ola Abraham, through this new tax regime intervention, has been able to expand his scope of business beyond being a photographer into cinematography, testing other waters in the entertainment industry.
It's laudable. It's an encouragement. That means the government realized that low-income earners cannot actually afford to pay tax, and that's the truth.
Tax in Nigeria makes up a huge chunk of the non-oil revenue that funds the nation's budget on a yearly basis, and paying tax is a civic duty of citizens. Hence, it is imperative that the tax collection system is agile and efficient enough to optimize tax compliance and collection.
Thanks for staying tuned. Federal Inland Revenue Service 2020 scorecard. Let's begin this segment with the Director Enforcement Support Group. From the testimony so far, are we saying that the Federal Inland Revenue Service is not applying or deploying the PPP model? Where is the place of the private sector in tax governance in Nigeria currently?
There is a lot for the private sector in respect of tax administration. We have fora for stakeholders, and there are different levels in which the private sector are engaged. For instance, we've mentioned the aspect of engaging the private sector like consultants for training. We also have a lot for almost every policy that we adopt. We engage the private sector to get their own feedback. There are also professional bodies who are private sector members. The Chartered Institute of Taxation, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, the ANAN, Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, and other sectors, other professional bodies. We engage them significantly for almost everything we do. As a matter of fact, even the Finance Act, we sought their input before proposals were sent to the National Assembly for the amendments to the tax law. So there are many other areas in which we engage the private sector for the purpose of having the input in decision-making that we take. So the PPP partnership is fully enforced in the Federal Inland Revenue Service. And we know that they are critical stakeholders. They are the ones, it's the private sector that pay the taxes in which the government is able to execute their projects. So we don't really take them for granted at all in the Federal Inland Revenue Service. We engage them significantly and at all the times for almost every major decision-making that we intend to take. And their input is always brought on board. And you can see that there is not much resistance because we get their own feelings before some of these very decisions or policies are made.
Governance in the Federal Revenue Service. Is it true that foreign companies in Nigeria are treated with kid gloves and given professional treatment against local companies?
Okay, it's been right. Okay, now foreign companies are not treated with kid gloves because part of the policies we have engaged, or some of the decisions structures we put in place, we have International Tax Department, and the International Tax Department handles areas or transactions relating to foreign entities that have international dimension, like multinational corporations. We also have the petroleum, oil and gas departments. And in the oil and gas sectors, we have the upstream, the downstream, and the oil servicing. And most of these very foreign companies have stakes in all of this. We also collaborate with the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council for issues of investors. And then we also have the free trade zones and the oil and gas free trade zones where foreign companies or multinationals operate. And all of this, the ground rules are set. There are rules, there are guidelines, there are laws that have been put in place. And we follow them, and we don't give any exemption. We don't treat them differently from the way we treat local companies. We enforce all the provisions of the tax law whenever it comes. And if there's a need for us to prosecute, we go ahead to prosecute even the foreign companies whenever there are infractions. So we don't have any exemption in respect of the foreign companies. We treat them in the same manner that we treat the local companies.
So, Ogawa, to you now, we know before now, when you hear tax, the fear of the tax official is the beginning of wisdom. But over time, the narrative changed. Just like you say, police is your friend. The tax officials are not magicians. What role as a citizen should I play? Do I have a role to play to aid the activities, to aid the generation of revenue in the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Do I have a responsibility?
Yes.
How do I play my role as a Nigerian to aid your services?
Yes. Thank you very much. The role of a taxpayer, mind you, the tax administrators are also taxpayers. In fact, the highest paying taxpayers. Our stakeholdership, taxpayers are key. That is why we regard them as kings. You know, before tax officials are dreaded because of, you know, their tactics. Now everything has been modernized, and the relationship is very, very cordial. We try to understand what are the challenges of the taxpayer, where we need to assist them, where we need to encourage them. That is why taxpayer service is a department in Federal Revenue Service. Each time there are issues, you know, even how to comply, you know, they are guided, even periodic circulars and, you know, memos, inquiries, even tax advisory also play a lot of roles. So taxpayers are key stakeholders, and we don't take their loyalty or their compliance level for granted.
So that's why I ask,
yes.
What should I do as a citizen to aid your responsibility?
Yes. One is that if you acknowledge the fact that it is a civil obligation and constitutional, even Section 24 of our Constitution is there, that you should pay your tax. Again, as a citizen, it's like also a charge your own contribution to ensure that you live in a decent society. So your role is to understand that taxes that are paid is used to, you know, provide common services. Whether you are rich or poor, you pass through a road, you have government schools, government funds, you have security issues which government has to use taxpayers' money, you have the police and armed forces, which taxpayers' money is used to fund. You know, so once we understand that all these things are needed, resources, and that it's through tax payment that government can demonstrate. Once you get the loyalty, you find out that we are good to go. You know, but continuous enlightenment is very, very necessary. You know, like now the Finance Act exempted the lower level people from tax. They also will pay tax in another way. You know, either through stamp duties or through VAT, because provided you consume, you must pay tax. So a particular line of tax may be exempted for income tax, personal income tax, but you pay taxes indirectly. Like if you go to ShopRite to buy, you pay. If you go use MTN or any other telecom lines, you are paying tax. So it is completely not correct to say there's a particular taxpayer that doesn't pay tax. The only thing that the quantum vary depending on, the attitude, to do what the law says.
Still on the same direction, if, for instance, Federal Inland Revenue Service exists and Nigerians are not available to pay the tax, it's as good as the services are not there. Yeah. Now, let's put it this way. Is there a portal, for instance, where we could take it or leave it? Nigeria, by the last count, is over maybe a 200 million population plus. Yeah. Is there a portal where, if as a Nigerian, I discover consistently a particular organization, a particular group, a particular individual who is supposed to pay tax, is not paying tax, evading, where I can report to Federal Revenue Service?
Well, the FIRA Establishment Act has made a provision for people to report in situations where they observe or when they have information that can aid the service in getting the actual taxes from either a body corporate or an individual. So we also have, based on the provision of the whistleblowing policy, we have a reward system for such information. So as a Nigerian, if you have this information, you can knock at our doors. Our Servicom department is there. It's a whole department in the FIRS. And they report directly to the office of the executive chairman. So such informations received with the utmost confidentiality, and where, based on the existing policy, if substantial amounts are generated, you can also be rewarded accordingly as a taxpayer. So you're welcome. As from tomorrow, if you are ready, we are available in the service to get this kind of information, so that collectively, as Nigerians, we can help in generating enough revenue that is required for growth and development of this country. These revenues are needed at all tiers of government. And it is our collective responsibility as Nigerians to provide information that will aid the service in generating revenue.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Matthew Bujimbola right now, who is the Director of Tax Policy and Advisory. The African Continental Free Trade Area commenced trading effective 1st January 2021. And we hear so much. There's a National Action Committee in place, and just a few hours ago, the Nigerian Customs Service says they are ready to take off. So, is the Federal Inland Revenue Service ready to key in and meander through the African Continental Free Trade Area? Are we ready?
Thank you very much, moderator. I think simple answer to that is that the Federal Inland Revenue Service is ever ready to key into the after provisions. But however, let me explain one or two things. Number one, the African Free Trade Area is more or less like a single market for Africa. And essentially, what it has done is to remove barriers to trade by way of eliminating duties in respect of goods that are flowing from neighboring African countries. That is import duties or export duties. as the case may be. This actually does not affect payment of taxes in respect of income and transaction, which is the main area of operation of tax authorities, including Federal Inland Revenue Service. It also means that with the single market, our companies in Nigeria, the Nigerian companies, have a larger market and opportunity for them to sell into other African countries, increase their profits and profitability. And when this happens, then the taxable profits also will take an upward trend, and which means that tax revenue will also equally increase. Another issue there that comes in is the issue of cross-border transactions and the implication for taxation. And just like one of my colleagues mentioned, we have international tax departments to cater for such entities that are doing cross-border transactions. And with respect for entities from other countries that may also be doing business into Nigeria, either by way of having a physical presence in Nigeria, then of course they become part of our taxpayers. And for those that may be trading with Nigeria using online or digital channels, then we also have provisions in the law whereby we could deem their significant economic presence and then therefore bring them into taxation. So in summary, the Federal Revenue Service is ever ready for the Africa Free Trade Zone area. And we already have structures that have been in place, that have been tested over time and that are working. Thank you very much.
Let's go to you now. Out of 5.7 trillion naira tax revenue set for your organization last year, 4.9 trillion naira was generated, representing 98%. If all we have discussed works seamlessly, all interest groups mainstreamed, and indeed what you're looking at comes true, let us imagine you're beginning to ginger the minds of participants to the much expected first national tax dialogue in Nigeria. What would be your projection if all these works put together, everybody works together, 2021, in terms of your targets for 2021? Will we hit 200% plus?
Thank you once more. You see, I only one questions like this I ask. I also I always remind people of some social theories that I have read in life and which I share with people at every given point in time, particularly when you look at from perspective of social scientists, the concept of functionalism. What do I mean by that is that FRS certainly cannot operate in isolation, and we view our collaboration with continuous collaboration and engagement with relevant stakeholders with utmost, we place serious attention to it, so that as an agency or government, we are so sure that it is impossible for us to now do or able to achieve anything without collaboration with other people in the same business or business that are related to what we do. Look at it from the theories of Max Weber, tackle persons. If you look at it from even Karl Marx's perspective of functionalism, we try, that is on the basis of the fact that we need others to be able to fix what we want to do, be able to deliver on the mandate given to us, that we are also bringing about this issue of tax dialogue, like I said before. We have an existing national tax policy, which centers, like I said before, on indirect tax regime. And for us, we feel something can still be done, even though we know that there is a well-documented process in that policy. But we feel by the time we're able to exchange ideas, collaborate with stakeholders, engage the professionals in that field, we'll be able to now tell them that this is, they will now be able to advise us that yes, this is what you're doing, but you can do more. You can be rest assured that we generated 4.9 trillion as against 5.76 trillion that government sector, which is 98%. But we did not achieve that without collaborating with other stakeholders. If you register with FIRS today as a tax agent and TIN is given to you, you have become a critical stakeholder, because that which you do affects us seriously. So we place serious attention to that. So in addition to this, what we want to do in order for us to move to not be...
Nami, it was nice having you on the program tonight, and also to all the panelists, Innocent or Hagwa, it was nice having you on the program.
Thank you.
Dr. Maidugu, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you very much.
Ezra Zubeiru, it was nice having you on the program. And last but not least, Matthew Bujungola, Director, Tax Policy and Advisory, Federal Inland Revenue Service. Thanks so much for being on the program tonight. And to those who sent in tweets, thanks so much for being part of the program. We looked at the Federal Inland Revenue Service 2020 scorecard. That's it on the program. On behalf of all of us,
She cries in anguish and in pain. She bears the scourge of her grief. She toils in vain for justice and succumbs to silence. He gloats over his malady. Like a beast, he pounces with no remorse. Her cry means nothing. Her pain feeds her shame. Like an orphan, she is left to grieve in solitude. But no more will she cry in vain. Her Your adversaries will henceforth bear the brunt of their cruelty. Rape is evil. Rape is a plague, a pandemic of monumental consequences. We must unite and kick it out of our society.
Connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Hello and welcome. It's time for another interesting package of
Everything Music.
Angelina, you dey cool in my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver.
This is Stocky Movies.
In times of old, the world was full of wonder.
No. Stop it! Welcoming you to your weekend for today.
Arise, O compatriots. It's time to use our voice.
Beyond 6 packs.
Bills.
Pay the bills. Keep paying my telephone bills. Keep paying my bills.
Welcome to Gallery.
Me and my parties.
London for what?
London for medicine.
Medicine for what?
Medicine for coffee.
Are you sickness?
To our illness. Welcome to Gist Zone.
All right, my name is the Eselucien Wego One. Ona nyokoko nyonyo.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
SIM-NIN. JP, so Mr. Skills on a mission, and it's on television. Baby boogie down, no they fun for me. Baby boogie down, no come they fun for me. Baby boogie down, no they fun for me. Baby boogie down, no come they fun for me. Samba, conto, samba, conto, samba, conto, samba, conto. What you wanna do? What you wanna do? If you know what to do, what you wanna do? What you wanna do? What you wanna do? If you know what to flex, what you wanna do? Mope, oh wale, model, Baba Tishe, Samba, Conto, Samba, Conto, Samba, Conto, Samba, Conto. Baby boogie down, no they fun for me. Baby boogie down, no come they fun for me. Baby boogie down, no they fun for me. Baby boogie down, no come they fun for me. Samba, conto, samba, conto, samba, conto, samba, conto. Baby boogie down, no they fun for me. Baby boogie down, no come they fun for me. Baby boogie down, no they fun for me. Baby boogie down. No come the fun for me. Samba. Conto. Samba. Conto. Samba. Conto. Samba. Conto. JP's production.
One, two, check. I need download, need taco check.
My name is Casey Popo. Money. Oh, well, even them out. Whether they like them or not, street go they pay. I say every day. Onye macarona, chukwalisa make all a cholomao. It no good to walk like bamboo. When to chop na taboo. Oh well if I oh well if I oh well if I is it on the man or them man?
Guys, see you when it's raining.
Oh well if I
He told you I was my director.
Oh well if
Oh, Puna, baby say.
Chop more, I as I go this smile, from 0 to trillion, street go they show love. If I'm a get mad you, well if I never, it's on them
on welo ya gabalo so, guys okunu kana juo, oyo bula muraya, oyera ure bure yao. Mberede iridike o, mberede keji amadike o, chukwolisa buyanyike o, ike dia ike.
See me I don't come this life to struggle oh, Oluwa bless my hustle to bubble. Unwachukuna suso, onye mebi uwa okwanyupia. Obodonya na balo bini kwemba. I am sorry,
Guys, see you when it's raining.
Well, if I
He told you I was my director.
well, if I
Oh, Puna, baby say. Because baby say. Before my get mad at you. Before my get mad at you.
business go to pay. Boys, he go to chop more. As I go to smile. From 0 to trillion. Street go to show love. If I'm a get mad at you. Well, if I never.
Ladies and gentlemen,
my name is Casey Popo.
I want to tell you a story, and you are going to like the glory. No be you face police station, they win the case, yo. Where are they today? Now my God, they grace, yo. Before when them see case, all of them balaga. Now when they see me, they say touch. Money go through your ass, oh. People go fight for your matter, oh. Come and do it for me, oh. He go do it for you.
I see you well if I am well if I am we don't know as my director. Well if I am when you put out where we say, we go where we say. If I'm a gamelan, I'm a gamelan. Business go to pay. Boys he go to chop. As I go this smile. From 0 to trillion. Street go to show love. If I'm a get mad at you, well if I never, it's in on them men or them
Ajé.
Say my name.
Ajé. Títí lórúkọ ẹ. Ajé. Ajé ló mú ní pẹ́kọ́rọ́. Orí owó lórí mi ò ní tọrọ. Àṣé là.
Ajé olókun, ajé ọlọ́sà.
There will be nobody wey go know if you no get the money. Dem go dey look you like say omo you be dummy. Many words go spread around, they no go wan know you. Owó nìkan ló lè ṣe, ló lè sọ ní dẹni ńlá. Ọlá nìkan ló lè ṣe, ni mo ṣe bẹ̀ Ajé kó wá. Ajé jọ̀wọ́. Ajé.
Wá fi lẹ́mi ṣe bùgbé.
Ajé.
Wá bọ̀ tẹ̀lé mi ṣe lé. Ajé olókun, ajé ọlọ́sà. Ire gbogbo náà ni mo béèrè fún. Ajé olókun, ajé ọlọ́sà. Wá fi lẹ́mi ṣe bùgbé. Wá bọ̀ tẹ̀lé mi ṣe lé. Ajé olókun, ajé ọlọ́sà.
Ṣé borí ló mú ní lọ sóde ìrìnjò ajé? Ṣé borí ló ń bá ní ṣe tó fi kórè bọ̀ wálé? Nítorí náà ni mo ṣe bẹ̀bẹ̀ Ajé jọ̀wọ́ fi lé mi ṣe bùgbé. I know many things that you don't know that is happening in the streets. But I don't wanna be somebody else, just wanna be myself. Owó nìkan ló lè ṣe, ló lè sọ ní dẹni ńlá. Ọlá nìkan ló lè ṣe, ni mo ṣe bẹ̀ Ajé kó wá. Ajé jọ̀wọ́.
Wá fi lẹ́mi ṣe bùgbé. Wá bọ̀ tẹ̀lé mi ṣe lé. Ajé olókun, ajé ọlọ́sà. Ire gbogbo náà ni mo béèrè fún. Ajé olókun, ajé ọlọ́sà. Wá fi lẹ́mi ṣe bùgbé. Wá bọ̀ tẹ̀lé mi ṣe lé.